just a ride. Whoa, oh, it's just a ride.
What's up?
What's up?
It's Just a Ride, episode, 24?
This is the
Ken Griffey
Jr.
Ken Griffey Jr.
episode.
Yes, the Ken Griffey. Ken
Yeah.
Griffey caricature.
Yeah, it's one of them ball sports that you're good at.
Sports ball.
Of your, I know that one though. I know who Ken Griffey Jr. is.
Shit, yeah, you should.
So I got to brag. Got to brag just a little bit.
Okay.
Give it.
So
Sports
I
ball
got
bragging.
to see Ken Griffey hit his first major league home run in the Kingdom. Now, I say first major league home run. I don't remember if it was his very first
Or first home
or
game.
first home game. But I got
Either
to see
way.
him hit his first
Either
home
way,
run
yeah.
in
Name
the
dropping.
Kingdom, and it was a memorable moment. And he was just a child.
Yeah.
Child.
They called him the
Just
kid.
a baby.
That was a good time.
And he was a
period.
classy guy all the way through his career.
He was pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember there was a little bit of tension there. He like sparked some sparks with his car on a crowd one time or something. It's like, he's a kid, leave him alone.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus he has a candy bar and it's delicious. Leave him alone.
Pretty tame by today's standards
Yes.
as far as athlete
I
shenanigans.
forgot he had a candy.
Oh, that candy bar, it's not worth anything.
Had the-
But I know a bunch of people that kept it. When I had a baseball card shop, we used to sell the shit out of those.
Did you sell the Reggie bars?
We never had a Reggie bar ever come through my little doof. I mean, I was a little kid having a store, but I never had a Reggie bar. But I heard about them. Would have loved to have one.
My aunt.
Imagine they aren't good anymore.
What's the shelf life on the
Right.
bars?
I imagine that the Ken Griffey Jr. bars, if you have one right now, they taste awful. They probably got little spiders in them or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
It's like the gum from the when they used to come with bubble gum.
these were.
I ate every piece of that shit. Though.
Yeah.
It was good.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
I mean like now though, right? Like if you had some now.
It can only go.
Sit
It
on
can
the-
only
break your
go
cheek.
so
Yeah.
stale, I
Cut your
think,
cheek.
and it was pretty stale back then.
Yeah, they gave it to you still. Just.
Yeah, I mean,
my
it would cut the roof of your mouth if
Yeah.
you got it at the wrong angle.
It was like-
get stuck in the little ripples up there.
What's the stripes gum that's like you put it in
Zebra.
your mouth? Yeah, zebra stripes.
Yeah.
It's worse than that for flavor, where you're like, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's like, it was just touch my tongue. It's like, that's all you get.
Just lick it off, and that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you might as well lick it, yeah. But then it ruins the last card in the pack, or like greases it up. And you're like, that was the card I needed, and now it's not mint condition, and this really ruins my business.
I wish I was a smarter kid.
Keeping
with,
your cards?
with baseball cards. Yeah, I didn't know.
I still don't. I mean, I had a card shop. and
What I learned how to do was fly them. You know, like throwing like a deck of cards.
Yeah.
Those fly even further, and we'd flying off my buddy's deck, and he had a canyon behind him. So we'd
No.
well, then we took all my Hot Wheels and smashed them with a hammer into little flat wafers of metal, and did the same thing. Those really fly.
Oh, the shitbox was just listening to that cringing right now.
It's terrible. Oh yeah.
God damn.
I have a bunch of old football cards that have just been
Gimme.
sitting in a binder.
Let me show you. Let me see.
And in a box, it could be some money in there. I don't know.
Don't give them to me to keep, but let me look at
I got
them.
some rookie cards.
Is there money?
Ooh.
Is there money in other sports besides baseball? I didn't know that. I thought
Yeah.
baseball was
Oh,
the
God.
was the kingpin.
If it can be collected, there's
Michael
money
Jordan
in it.
rookie card. Goodness.
Oh, yeah.
All the Michael Jordan cards.
Right.
Yeah. But really, all the cards, Karl Malone rookie cards worth a lot of money. Blah, blah, blah. You want to hear something tragic? By the way, I'm P-Baw.
Oh yeah, I'm Poobah.
Bear ball. I was
Those
going
are
to say
the
bear.
Bear ball. All the
works.
things.
Yeah. I'm all the
Bear
things.
Bear.
So
This
that's
is
us.
your favorite triologue.
The triologue.
I'm all the bears.
We hope.
I might be furry. I might be naked.
Top
I don't know.
100.
It's 50-50. So.
Is it triologue because there's three of us and it's try, or is it triologue because
we try hard.
we really try?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Both to both. My dad, he told me the most tragic baseball card story, but it's probably the story that generation had. I mean, we all know that like the Mickey Mantle cards and stuff like that, they're like the highest amount of value because they were the most people that wanted cards and stuff. I mean, there's Honus Wagner cards and Babe Ruth cards and shit from back in the day. Mm-hmm. Good luck getting your hands on those. But and even now Mickey Mantles and stuff. But my dad grew up in the time period where he had all the fucking great cards, and then he put them on the spokes of his the wheels.
Oh,
of
yeah,
his
it makes great
fucking
noise,
bike.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
But then but he kind of realized, him and his brother were like, well, maybe we shouldn't do that with Mickey Mantle. Maybe we shouldn't do
call,
that with these guys. And they kept these boxes. And as soon, my dad and his dad didn't have a great relationship. As soon as my dad went to college, he burned the baseball cards.
No.
It was just like, God damn, that's two things. You sacrilegious sons of bitches to the sports ball.
Yeah.
Mickey Mantle cards.
Why burn? Were they having a kegger and they needed a fire? Or?
He just wanted to tell my dad, yeah, Mickey Mantle, great kindling. Yeah, I don't know. My grandpa's kick-ass, but I don't know why they did that.
Do we have a picture?
I had a kind of the inverse experience of that. I collected Pokemon cards like when they first came out, like Generation 1.
Oh.
And me and all of my buddies in the neighborhood, there started to be some strife, because like we was like, so and so's brother stole my first edition holographic Blastoise, and I was like, I know you did it, and he's like, no, I didn't. And then he's threatening to kill me, and my dad's like, all right, we're done with Pokemon cards. And so when I was gone one day, he just threw them all away. My whole collection of Pokemon cards just threw
There's
them
a
away.
stat to look up. How many people have been killed over ridiculous cards?
I'm sure. But like at the time, they weren't worth shit except for to us, Like I was just like, yeah. But like I've looked up the value of some cards I remember having now, and I'm like, oh, Dad, you threw away thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
You didn't know, though. You didn't know.
Right,
But
and neither did you.
neither did I. I was upset though.
But you would have kept them. There's no chance in hell that you were going to get rid of them.
That is true.
So
That is true. But that's all right. It's just my college fund, Dad. No big deal.
Probably should put aside a few extra bucks there, bro. Just saying, we all know now.
Love you, Dad.
A little pressure. All right, well, so welcome to the Ken Griffey Jr. episode.
Anything spectacular this week?
Yeah, what happened?
I went snowboarding, first one of the season.
And how'd you do?
Did great till second to last run, and then I fell and hyperextended the fuck out of my left
I
arm.
did so good until I didn't.
Yep. Yeah, my whole inside of my elbow turned funny colors. Still kind of is.
It is.
Yeah, but didn't break it. I have mostly full range of motion back now,
Dude.
So I'm good.
It's your fretting hand.
I know. This is the first thing I thought of. I went home and I couldn't turn my hand palm up, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah. So, like, as a I played basketball throughout, whatever, and never got to ski because of that. Because the coaches were like, no.
Yeah.
There's not one time you're going to come down from that mountain being like, I feel fine. I'm not sore in the places that I use for basketball. Same with music now. I'm your coach now, or I don't know, but I'm your fellow teammate saying,
It's in my blood, dude. I'm Canadian.
That's right.
Night skiing every night after school all winter long.
Yeah. Have we ever told the story of us going to Vegas and that horrible, horrible trip for you from Canada?
No, but we should.
Just sweating it out.
Oof. Yeah, that was. I was actually sure I was gonna die on the way down there. Like I was like, this is it for me. I'm just gonna embrace it, I guess.
That was a moment in your time where you're like, I've become more serene now.
Yeah.
I've gone through my meditations.
I found a measure of zen from that experience for sure.
I don't know. Should we tell that story? We don't tell a lot of sovereign stories here.
We could tell that story. Yeah.
All right, we'll start with that, and then we'll get to our police story.
Yeah, do your thing.
Story time.
Okay,
Because
so
I'm not sure if I know the story.
I bet we've told you at some point, but we went down to Vegas with the band, and
what time of year was it, Zach?
It was very hot summer. It was
middle of July.
It was
I
the
believe.
middle of the fire season. And so we're going through Nevada and Utah, and even southern Idaho is pretty hot during this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
And Arizona, and Shaiden from Canada, Northwest world. I remember when you looked at me, you're like, I'm serious, I really don't like hot. That was the first time I was like...
Yeah. Well, so I was stressed out about it before going because we were going on the Thing, our tour bus, and I loved the Thing, and it had great tinted windows and all that, but it was just a big ass black passenger shuttle bus, like for airport shuttle bus, basically. And I remember being stressed out and asking Jerry, because he was the one that had the bus. I was like, so the AC works, right? Like for sure it works. And he's like, yeah, it's fine. I tested it all out.
And it was fine.
It works great. And it was fine.
Yes.
Yeah, until we got into triple digit temperatures, and then it decided that it was done.
Yep.
It was just done.
Anymore.
And like I was worried about it because I've never been good with heat, and then I had I don't know, heat stroke, heat exhaustion. I felt like I was going to die because I got too hot a couple years prior to this. So I was just a wuss about heat after that.
I've been there.
Anyway, so like I'd look outside on a hot summer day and I'd just get like this pit in my stomach, like, oh, today's the day I die, which sucked. And this experience kind of got me over that, which is, I guess, the good that came out of it. But anyway, we're on the bus and then we're rolling through the Nevada desert and zero AC. I remember stopping at a rest stop and we had to park like back with the trucks and shit because we had a trailer and all that, and I'm like looking across this expanse of wavering asphalt and I really had to take a shit, and I was like, I gotta go to that bathroom, but if I cross, as hot as I already am, if I cross over this asphalt to get over there, I'm gonna get heat stroke and die. And we're far from everything. We're in the middle of the desert.
No one can come help.
I was like, this is it. I guess I had this just moment of existential dread, and Monique actually talked me through it, and we ended up like picking up some ice, and I just sat in like nothing but my boxers in the back of the bus with this cooler of ice next to me, just rubbing it on myself just to get through it.
Normally we would, like, the whole band is good at giving people shit, but everybody kind of looked in your eyes and they're like, no, he's serious.
Yeah.
He's having a hard time.
He might
Let's leave him
die.
alone. Yeah.
I was having a rough time.
Fortunately, you can pick up guitar player in Vegas probably somewhere.
Yeah, I bet you could.
There are some
replace me.
talented folk
They're a
in
dime a
Vegas.
dozen.
I do remember that was the ice in the hat. Where it was like, no, you guys. I just would put ice in my hat, and it was like, this is lovely. What are you talking about? This is great.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, it's not.
Yeah, that whole trip was rough for me, man. I was having stomach issues the whole trip back, too. I was like, can we please stop somewhere with real food? And you guys were like, what? Something fucking Wisconsin burger or White Castle or some shit? In and out. Yeah,
it is,
same
bro.
shit.
Yeah. Sorry.
You're like, in and out or nothing. I was like, fuck, I'm going to kill all of you.
I'm
I
going to
hate
eat a
you.
cactus. Just give me a cactus from the side of the road. Fuck. That was a crazy trip. There's so many stories. I know we've told the story of the locusts hitting the thing on the way back from there and stuff.
And then getting our trailer tire changed, and like it just started raining. That was a weird experience.
And then having our tire changed in Vegas. That
whole thing was bizarre. Like not a word of English was spoken on the other side of that transaction.
1 second to have that whole thing
except
done.
for the word tip.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, would you like to give me a tip? It was like, give me a tip.
Yep.
Or I'll stab you and leave you here.
But it was done so well and so fast. It was like, well, of course a tip.
Yeah, obviously.
Well that whole trip was. Vegas is an interesting place for sure, but it's definitely an interesting place for our band and our kind of sensibilities.
No doubt.
And we played the Paris Casino of all places. This big, beautiful fucking. We didn't. We kind of belong in there, but I'm
also kind of not.
Yeah, almost. It was a strange vibe.
I remember ripping around on the Strip. And I left the Luxor, the big pyramid hotel, and I had a little bus pass for the Strip, and I was like, I'll just catch the bus going back the other way and get back to the Paris. But across the street on the Strip is not like, I'll just walk across the street.
It looks like it, though.
Yeah. Anybody who's been in Vegas knows you're going to have to go like half a mile down to the next intersection and then half a mile across this 18-lane street and then half a mile back to get to the bus stop going the other way. And in that time, it was middle of the day, I walked over, got on the bus, and it felt like I had stepped in something sticky. I was like, what did I step in? And I looked in the bottom of my Vans were melting from walking on the pavement. I was like, this is hell.
All the desert cities are a little interesting. I remember that with Phoenix too. It was like just culture shock where it's like, wow, they have misters in the street because everybody's sweating. It's like, wow, okay, I don't feel... Because I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm sweating through my shirt in 5 seconds.
How did any of you find a suitable mate?
the sweat marks, they match. It's like this sweat mark and this sweat mark, they go together like
I
Tetris.
tell you, I saw the shape of the Virgin Mary's face in her sweat marks, and I knew from that day.
And then I saw that sweat. I'm a believer. All right, so I guess that's our random story for the day.
Yeah.
Now we usually like to start with the police story, unless you have anything else.
Let's do the police story.
You did live, right?
I died.
Okay,
I died.
Part of him died.
He's been
reborn.
Yeah.
He's a believer. We just discussed that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now this story this should be pretty interesting. It's about a kidnapping.
This is about a kidnapping, or a supposed kidnapping.
Supposed kidnapping.
So this particular house, this gal, I don't remember her name, not that I would say it anyway, but I had been to her house on 3 different occasions in a month where she was reporting that she was getting these weird notes set on her door. Things like, it's simple stuff, handwritten. It looked handwritten that said, like, I'm watching you, that type of shit, just stalker type stuff, which in itself is weird. But then you look at the notes and it looked like a child wrote it. Like letters were backwards. It was kind of squiggly lines, or somebody was writing with their wrong hand or something. But ultimately what she did was she was blaming this on a deputy that I worked with.
Oh.
So I'm calling bullshit while I'm taking the reports because it just wasn't jiving. But I also, because of the job, have to go to admin saying, she's claiming this. I call bullshit, but you guys can do this investigation.
Right.
It is what it is. So I took a few of those, and then finally we get a in progress call. She reported that somebody had broken into her house, had tied her up to a chair, taped her up, had a knife to her, and at some point she was able to kick the suspect in the nuts, and he fled, and she was able to get out of the chair and call 911. So we get there, and there's a chair knocked over, there's rope on the ground, she still had tape on her face, and I think it was panties shoved in her mouth. Her hands were tied in front of her, which I thought was really weird. A couple things broken, door was open. All the props basically for this attempted abduction, kidnapping, whatever the hell was going to happen. While we're taking this investigation, trying to get all the information, taking pictures, looking for fingerprints, the whole deal, her boyfriend comes home. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? So I explained to him what happened. He's like, well, she's been talking about one of you guys stalking her and peeking around at night. So I put a camera in the kitchen that looks out the window.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, when it gets dark, there's a reflection when the light is on in the kitchen. Instead of showing it outside, it shows inside. Mm-hmm. So I'm watching this video because I'm like, hell, it's going to be on there. And what I see is her taping her face up, tying her hands together, just setting up the whole scene, and then calling the police. So the fun part of this was she didn't know the camera was there.
Right.
The boyfriend didn't tell her.
So
I got to show her the video.
Damn.
To call her on her bullshit, because she held on. I should say I played with this for a while because I knew the gig was. I knew what was going on. She didn't know that I knew. So I interviewed her for about, I don't know, probably a half hour. And I'm like, I've got something to show you.
You wanted to waste our time? We're going to waste your time.
Gave her every chance to
I
cop
did.
to it.
So then I played the video, and she literally just passed out.
Really?
It was awesome.
Oh.
Yeah. But I mean, she fucked with the guy's career and a life.
Yeah.
For no reason. Oh, and the deal was she was actually stalking him.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
A little projection there.
Yeah. But it was it was sweet justice.
And what happened to her? What's the punishment for something like that?
I don't remember I don't remember exactly what we
for
charged
working
with.
really hard to ruin someone's life and then getting caught.
Honestly, there isn't a whole lot of punishment for it.
Right.
But I mean, that was a false reporting.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
That's not. Is that a felony? Or is that a?
No.
It's not.
No.
All right.
No.
It would at one point in my life, things like that would have been like hard for me to believe. But I lived through very, very eerily similar situations with my sociopath that I've talked about before.
People will go to great
even like
lengths.
the thing you were talking about with the note. I don't know if you remember, if I ever showed you, but she did the same thing down to it looked like she wrote it, hammer fisted with her left hand, kind of a thing from her supposedly abusive ex-Marine.
Yes, I do remember that.
Ex, yeah, and came home from the grocery store and was like, this was on my car, and she had me and all the guys that lived with me convinced that she had
she called me
detail
about that
from the that's right, yeah, she had a detail assigned to her from the Marine Corps that were plain clothes to be in the crowd when we went to concerts at the Knitting Factory and shit, which I was like, no way, really? But I was like, I don't fucking know, I've never been in the Marines and I'm in my 20s, I don't know shit about shit,
right?
So I'm like, and she was pointing him out, he's one, but you're not supposed to look at him or talk to him because you don't want to blow their cover or whatever. And I was like, holy shit.
She was impressive. That gal went to great lengths.
A lot of
to be a victim. It was amazing. I mean, to live in that brain for a while would have been fun.
Yeah, would have been crazy.
It would have been, yeah. That stuff, I'm like, I just want to know what that's like. I just want that ride.
Just for a day or two.
Just, yeah.
I wouldn't pay admission for it, but I guess if it was free, I'd ride that ride for a minute.
As long as you
you're going to pay.
Eject. Yeah, the cost is quite a bit more than money.
Right.
All right. Now this next thing we're going to talk about takes us to the land down under, right? We're going to talk about Aussie slang.
All right, sweet.
And Shaiden is going to take us on a little ride through
I just thought I was having fond memories of
being drunk.
Our drunk episode where we were trying to figure out Gen Z slang.
Right.
And I was like, well,
I think I was 0 for everything on that
it
one.
would be. I think you were.
I didn't do too good. I don't think
You did better than me.
I know a couple because I have a Gen Z son, ish. Yeah, he's Gen Z.
Yeah.
But he's a little older, but he knows the jargon. So I got to learn all that shit, but not all of it, obviously.
So I thought it'd be fun to
Is Crocky Dick Slapper in there?
revisit
Is
that.
that-
We can't use that by default because I know you know that one.
Crocky Dick Slapper.
But I got a huge list of Australian slang terms, and I figure we can take a crack at some of
Let's
them.
learn. Should we sing the Australian national anthem?
I don't even.
Women cried and they chunder. Can you hear the thunder? You better run. You better take cover.
Yeah, that's 100% the national anthem. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'd love to know your national anthem. I'm not sure I've heard it. Have you heard the Australian national anthem?
I thought that was it.
Okay, fair enough. See, that's two out of three. Shaiden seems to think that we're silly. I don't know what.
I'm just sitting over here face palming without face palming right now.
Have you found the thing so we don't have to keep going? Okay,
I got
please.
a whole list. I'm ready. I'm ready when you fuckers are.
I'm tying the rope around my neck as we speak, so just take it away from me.
There's a whole list of like 125.
Always have a
here,
spotter,
so
Zach. Always have a spotter. I'm proud of you.
I'm just gonna pick randomly,
Okay.
and I'm probably gonna butcher the pronunciation of at least half of these. So
Fair.
We'll see.
This
We'll
makes
see.
it double the fun.
Far
Yeah,
north,
if we
talking about
have-
the far south. It's cool.
If we have any Aussie jar pods out there,
Oh.
feel free to give me shit for.
I know we have a few.
All right, so
They all mean cunt.
fair dinkum,
Cunt means
Fair
cunt.
dinkum.
fair dinkum.
Good deal.
That's a good. That's
That's a good guess, but no.
delicious dingo meat.
Also a good guess, but no. It means honestly, like yeah, fair dinkum.
Like no shit.
Yeah,
Fair
like
dinkum.
no,
It's a no
no
shit,
shit.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll lock it. Fact. Fair dinkum.
Fair dinkum. All right, here's a little gimme. Fuck me dead.
Something I've
Shit.
requested recently in my life.
It's a good way to go. It's not the worst way to die. Yeah, I would say fuck, that sucks.
Things are bad.
Things are bad.
Ding ding ding. That's unfortunate, or you're very surprised.
Fuck me dead.
Fuck me dead.
That's different than fuck me running, I think.
Yeah,
But also
Yeah.
means,
It's kind of the same.
it's
Yeah.
in the same. Yeah, it's got to be in the same wheelhouse, though, right? No. I told you. No wuckas.
no wuckas.
Stop fucking around.
You're cunt. Let's see.
No.
No wuckas. There's no workers here.
Nobody showed up.
Solid guesses, both. But no, it's no wuckas is a truly Aussie way to say no worries.
Oh, no workers.
there you go.
No worries, mate. No wuckas.
No workers. I like it.
I don't know if that's how you say it, though. It could be Wookiees, but that sounded too much like Wookiees to me, so I
No
avoided
Wookiees.
it. No Wookiees.
No Wookiees, mate. We only do Ewok shit here. There's a little English in there, too. I suck at accents. I'm sorry, fuck.
Me too, but I'm still trying. I'm
Yeah.
still butchering it on intentionally. Ripper.
Ripper.
Badass.
Yeah, kick ass.
Like context. You little Ripper.
Oh, you little shit. You son of a bitch.
No, you were closer in the beginning.
No,
It's
then-
like
oh,
it's
then
like
you're a
it's like
badass.
that's fantastic.
You ripper.
Like,
I feel like when I've watched a couple guys when they're throwing shit off of a building, I don't know if you, or a platform.
Throwing
smashing
kangaroos off
stuff. I haven't seen a kangaroo yet. I can't remember what they're called, but they're like the nicest 4 or 5 gentlemen from Australia. And they're always like, Ripper! And everything is a footy, a tippy. What's your hat? It's a hattie. You know, what's this table? It's a tabley. And it's just like, holy, I love you people.
I hurt my elbowy.
Yeah, it's like, I have my fucking face.
Oh, my knee.
I love languages and dialects that have like a robust amount of slang worked
man.
into them. You know, like certain dialects of English
Yeah.
over in
Oh,
like
God.
the UK, like which I don't know the name of any of them, but if I hear them, I'm like that shit. I love that because I
Right.
can't understand half of it, but you all do, and that's cool.
When I love that the cunt is becoming more acceptable within
Yeah.
the States because it's such a great word.
It
and
is a
it's
good word.
super acceptable in a lot of other countries too.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's always my excuse when somebody gets offended. No.
Yeah. I mean,
thought I
Australia
needed an
being one of
excuse.
them. I mean, cunt is just like you call your buddy a cunt. And
Yeah.
it's like, hey, what's up going on, you little cunt?
That's pretty much why I started using it, like on my show.
Yeah.
It's like I listen to fucking tons of English and Australian speakers, and they're like, fucking cunt, fucking, and you're like, yeah, they are cunt.
And it feels
the
good
Irish
to come
do
out
it
of the
too.
mouth.
It does. It's a
It just
powerful
got
word.
that nice back of the throat, just thing.
The kind of rule that when I first came out with it in my head was like, I'm just not going to call any females that. Females don't like that word. So it's like, I'm going to call every dude I know a cunt.
Yeah.
And then we'll just make it a guy word. But then it's also one of those things where it's like, it represents, it's like bitch. where
It's
you're like,
all
that's a female thing.
It's
It's like,
all
I
in
call
the-
dudes bitch, and it's not
all
about
in the delivery, man.
Yes. You can't shut the fuck up.
It's all
And I'm
in the
gifted in
delivery.
insulting people and them saying thank you, generally. So.
Right. This is the one, by the way, that the dads are going to be like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Their generation, that word was like, did they say that out loud?
Yeah, I know.
He's not back for Christmas, is he? We're not having him back. I don't know if that's fair enough.
Polly had her hoodie on the other day when we were in Pierce, and it says, "Don't be a cunt."
Right.
We saw Greg and Diane, who you know,
Yeah.
and they're spiritual people,
Right.
And Diane saw that finally. She was like, oh, "I just found out what that word was 2 years ago." She's 78.
I love it.
Oh, you sweet sheltered lady.
Right. The only
Don't
two
let
things,
the world ruin you. Stay gold, pony boy.
The only two things I learned in seventh grade was cock and cunt. That was the first day too. So it's like you go to public school. She must not have gone to public school.
I remember the first time I used the word bastard and I got in trouble for it. My dad and I used to play dominoes when I was a kid. You like the actual, not like tip them over in the line,
Right,
but like
right.
the
Play the
actual
game.
game
Like you were in
dominoes.
prison.
Yeah, we were playing with the bones. And I had heard the word bastard used at school, and I didn't know what it meant necessarily. I just knew that it was like something you called someone when you were displeased with them. So my dad
Little kid, you
just cleaned up at Domino's this round that we played, and I was like, "You bastard!" And he was like, "What? What did you just call me?" I was like, "Nothing."
I'm learning things in school, Dad.
He's like, "Do you know what that means?" Absolutely not. Is the correct answer.
And your punishment is not going to be as severe as it would have been.
I mean, it was just me and him, so he didn't like beat me about the ears or anything. But he's like, "Don't be calling people that, especially not me."
Do we have more
You
words?
little bastard.
Bastard.
Yeah.
All right. Are there more Australian words? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll toss you a couple more.
All right.
How about a root rat?
A root rat.
Yeah.
Let me think about that.
ROOT, root rat.
Ooh, can you give us a hint as to what that might mean?
Root rat. It's got to be somebody who's tenacious.
Somebody who really enjoys a certain thing.
A root rat. Are they
Tenacious it's kind of, yeah.
Are they an Australian rules football fan?
Nope.
Okay.
It has to do with penis.
Is it? Is,
I don't know
It's
how
a-
much of that the recording will pick up.
Like a whole bag?
Threw us,
Yeah.
what was that? A penis?
Miss Creep Keeper shots in from the back. It has to do with penis. And she's right.
It
by
does.
The way. A root rat is someone who enjoys sex maybe a little too much.
Oh, wife, how come you know
Is
that?
it gender specific?
Well,
Wife?
I mean, it doesn't say so, but
Well, that doesn't help me.
only one of us has a root
In theory.
in theory.
Yeah.
But
We're
the other
calling her
person
friend.
uses it.
Sorry, we're having a different conversation. My wife's showing her.
It's enough of that.
A new
Enough of that side talk over there, Flanary.
Sorry.
All right, I'll give you one more. Shark biscuit.
Shark or shock?
Shark.
Shark biscuit.
Shark.
Surfer.
Biscuit. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, actually, it's kids at the beach.
Oh, fucking A.
Bunch
Shark
of little shark
biscuit.
biscuits.
That's clever. That's
Right.
worth the price of admission, right?
Love
there.
that one. So anyway, that's enough.
That's it. Okay. Shark biscuit.
That was
All right.
that was precisely as fun as I thought it would be. Thanks,
Are we
guys.
Australian now? Do
Yeah.
we officially get to?
Well,
I
be
think,
allowed.
We
yeah,
fit
we're
in?
not allowed to go to Australia after that stunt, I think.
Every time I do the accent, they're like, "Please stay home."
Yeah,
We don't want you.
Stop.
The problem will be is that the
No, thank you.
exactly, because what I will do, I know what myself. Like I hung out with a guy from New Zealand for just at work for like 8 hours a day for just a year or so, and I annoyed the piss out of him because I couldn't help myself.
Kiwis are different
Just-
accent too.
It is.
Like, it
And he
sounds
was
the
like,
same to
"Please
us."
Stop fucking doing that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he was the one who was like, it's not crocky, you fuck. It's crocky dick slapper.
Yeah.
He might have been fucking with me, but he was just like, stop fucking saying it. But I couldn't help myself. And I was like in tears at one point. I'm like, I can't fucking stop. I'm sorry.
Dude, what-
He's like, you don't even sound, he's like, you sound like a cartoon character from the Disney Channel, bro. This is not how my
yeah,
people
that's where I
speak.
learned it.
Exactly. It's Monterey Jack fucking Chippendale's Rescue Ranger.
It's like going to a Mexican restaurant. You're speaking English, but you try to throw like a
Oh yeah.
accent to it, like
Yeah.
like English is your second language.
Right.
I don't. Why do we do that?
I don't
How
know.
stupid.
Like a burrito. And they're like,
wherever-
"Oh, get out of here, you
I was like
fucking-"
guacamole.
Wherever on the autism spectrum I sit, which is certainly somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah. Same.
Imitating interesting sounds, especially ones that are spoken by other people, it's like a knee-jerk reaction for me. I can't. It hurts me to not do it, and it also makes me a cunt occasionally.
Totally
I was sitting at a restaurant when I was a kid. And our waitress had this super distinctive laugh. It was like,
Oh, shit.
you know, and I was just like, I have to do it. Like, I didn't have an evil thought in my head. I was just like, she was walking away after taking our order. My dad was being charming per the usual, and so she laughed as she was walking away, and I'm sitting there going, and he reaches over and smacks me.
It's like,
I was
too
like,
loud.
I'm like, what? And he's like, what if she heard you? I was like, I wasn't being mean. He goes, she doesn't know that.
Right. It's like, that's just the mockingbird is just doing what it naturally does, not making fun of. Yeah.
I'm a mimic. I can't help it.
The slap across the back of the head, I miss those days.
Yeah.
I earned a lot of those.
Yeah.
We all
It was a
had to
good,
get-
it was a
Yeah, I think
it's
that's
an
why I'm bald.
effective it's an effective reset button. I'll
It
tell you
is.
that. Like, if you're doing something and you just get like a what, you're like, what?
Wow, whiplash fucking changed
Immediately
everything.
Stop.
All right. That was
It's a lost art for sure.
It is. Well, let's not bring it back though either.
I mean,
No,
you know, good or bad.
Hey, you got little ones. No, bringing it back. Buddy.
No. Okay.
All right, we're moving along. We're moving along quick today. This ride has many different stops. It's like it's a small world. We're like, look, there's a little thing. There's a thing. Shut up. Keep your hands in. Let's go. Next one.
Shall we sing
Way
the
to
whole
go,
time
you,
in the background?
you little
Yeah.
ripper.
It's a ripper, dingo slipper, slippy slappy. All right, this one Jeff is going to lead us on, and it is 9 unquestionable truths. No,
9 uncomfortable truths about life. Now, this is going to be a surprise to all of us. I'm like, I like uncomfortable. I like life. I like uncomfortable life because it makes you better. So let's see
Jeff
what
wants-
the uncomfortable truths are.
Jeff
we'll
wants
break
to
them down.
Dangle his balls in the cold, cold river waters to challenge himself.
Hey, you just choked him to death.
Again, that goes
cold
into an
balls.
age thing. You're going to reach an age where you sit down on the toilet and you do find out how cold that water is.
I don't believe you.
I don't
I
either.
know. Just wait.
All right.
Just fucking wait. It's going to happen.
I'm 43 and I
I've
don't know
never
how
had.
cold it
I've
is,
never
yeah.
had pendulous balls. I'm quite the opposite.
Yeah, I'm just.
they turtle up at the slightest breeze, bro.
If it's cold, they're like they're near my Adam's apple. Like, what's going on, bro? Let's stay in here.
I don't know if you can tell by my voice. They dropped once, but not far.
Shaiden can get. All right. 9 uncomfortable motherfucking.
That was an uncomfortable truth. I'm not.
All right. Here we go.
Okay, number 1.
Number 1.
If you continue to wait for the right time, you'll waste your entire life and nothing will happen.
That's totally true.
Fucking
Yeah.
I have not.
I have no
I-
further input. That's well said.
It's just
There is no right
fact.
time. Yeah, you jump in or you.
I
don't.
just get to think about my own life on that one. It's like all the things that I've done in the last 2 years of my life have literally been, I'm scared to death to do this, so I'm going to fucking do it. And
Yeah.
it has, fortunately, all worked out to a positive. Doesn't mean that it's all easy. In fact, it's been very challenging, but it's been the best thing for me ever. So I live my life now like, if it scares the shit out of me, I should probably be doing it.
Right. Let's just linger for a second. Like the idea of just jump and the net will appear is kind of that self-starter person thought. So it is like there's never has there ever been a good time? Have you ever felt prepared all the way for something? Like,
No.
I'm so ready for this test.
No,
I'm
and
so
here's the
ready
tr-
for
Even when I think I've prepared, when I'm right on the precipice of leaping into whatever this thing is I've been preparing for, I'm like, I'm not ready.
Yeah. Oh shit, this is way different than what I prepared. Yeah. So I mean, you learn as you go. I mean, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
It's
absolutely,
Like,
yeah.
like education is that.
And sometimes I don't want the net. I want to know. I want to know I'm doing this all on my own.
Yeah.
And because there's no satisfaction in something that's easy. There's only satisfaction in something that's hard that you accomplished. So the further I can get into something that this is all me, I am solely responsible for where I'm at and solely responsible for getting through this, there's a bigger reward at the end. So I recommend it for everybody.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's always going to turn out too, because I've fucked up more than the average bear too. So that's okay.
Sure. But for all of you guys that are just kind of like, okay, I'm not ready yet, or just a little bit more for some project that you're working on and stuff, I'll tell you what, with SKATCAST, it was like that with me. It's like, well, no, I need to be in this situation. No, and I got to do it like this. And no, I need to practice this a little bit more. It's like, nah, fuck it. Just do it. And be okay with maybe not being as good as you'll be at the end.
Even as something as simple as 75 hard. Now we're trying to get people to do that because I've been through it and I know what it did. It literally changed a lot of things in my life because of discipline.
Yeah.
But I can remember, I had known about 75 hard for up to a year, and I'm someday, I'm going to do this then, and trying to plan for it and shit like that. And I finally actually listened to, it was somebody that he had on the show who just had done 75 hard, and he interviewed this guy, just a regular UPS driver dude. And it was his episode that I listened to. I was driving home from deer hunting last year.
This is the 75 hard.
Yeah,
the guy that invented it.
Yeah, Andy Frisella.
Yeah.
And it was Andy Frisella, the guy who started it, couldn't get me to start. But some regular dude who just said, you know what? Just do it.
Yeah.
You can't plan for this. Just start.
Yeah. There is no time where you're going to be like the most comfortable and it's like the perfect storm.
I was on my way home. I went to the bookstore, got kicked out of the bookstore because I wouldn't wear a mask. So I had to figure a new way to get
one
books.
Of those guys.
I was that guy. I'm still that guy.
He is.
Got all my food prep ready to go, and next day I was off and going, not even really knowing exactly what I was doing. And it's just a really good example of just fucking do it. You'll figure it out.
Somebody, I think it was my grandpa. He was just like, just fucking jump in and swim.
You don't have to have all the answers.
That's how you learn how to swim. Jump in and swim.
You don't have to have all the answers before you start.
Then I drown.
You can't have all the answers before you start. Just do it.
Yeah.
Figure it out. as
Forgive
you go.
yourself for
The
not having
preparation
answers.
will get you through perhaps the first 5 minutes of any given thing.
Right. That's it too.
And then it's like, wow, all that time you spent preparing, you could have just been beyond 5 minutes, and it would have been the same.
Well, it's kind of like having kids. Everybody's excited to find out if it's a boy or a girl, but because a lot of people think that's going to prepare them. No, it's not. No, not at all.
Genetics is a trillion-sided dice.
It's either going to be a boy or a girl or a toaster.
Or a monster.
It could be a toaster. I cheer for the toaster.
If I was gonna throw my 2 cents into this and piggyback a little bit, I would say not only should you not be afraid to start something, but you should also not be afraid to say yes to something when it comes along and slaps you in the face.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of those moments in your life where something will come along, like some opportunity will present itself, and if you waffle about it, it goes right by.
Yep.
You have to.
You only get so many in life.
There's some times where you have to go, okay, I don't know how I'm going to make that work, but the answer is yes, because it's something I want. And then you figure out how to make it work. And some of the best shit in my life, this podcast included, our band included, was shit that just kind of like happened one day. It was like, hey, how about we do this? And I was like, okay, shaking my head no, but I, you make room for it, and they, like I say, they're some of the best shit in my life now. And if I just let it go by, then.
And honestly, what's the worst thing that can happen? You can fail. Guess what? When you fail, you get to make a decision of whether you try again or not.
Yeah.
Unless we're talking about like cliff jumping.
Okay, you
there
don't
are worse things that could happen than failure.
Yes.
Hashtag not all.
Yeah. God damn it. Always a caveat.
Number 2. Oh, sorry, I got to put my glasses back on.
Get them readers on, old man.
I love being old. It's awesome. Oh, this one's a big deal that people don't think about, and I've actually tried to talk about this a bit on my own. You will lose 99% of your close friends if you start upgrading your life. Mm-hmm. This is a fucking fact.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a negative thing, but it is not, because you shake out the people that are negative and that are holding you down. But what happens is you start finding the like people that push you forward. Mm-hmm. You always want to be the weakest link in your chain.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the people around you want them to excel you forward.
Yeah.
And
you're the sum of, you're the 5 people you hang out with the most is what some people would say.
Yeah. Not only that, your character, I think, is reflected a lot in who you choose to have around you on a regular basis.
And I'll even go into like, your more romantic or personal type relationships, marriages and such. It's been my experience that a lot of those at the time, I thought they were built on love and trust and all that. No, they weren't. They were built on my traumas. I was just seeking the same things all the time, and it wasn't until I changed and fixed myself before I realized that. And it would push those people out of my life.
Yeah.
Terry Meisner, one of our listeners, I've been chatting with him a little bit, and that guy is he's fun to watch because he's really pushing himself. And he's got a wife and family and all that. And even today, he made a post about, he took a picture of this really nice Caesar salad. It looked really good because I was hungry when I was looking at it too.
Sounds good to me.
But this guy's like, he's making changes, and his wife is supporting him in his changes and his growth. That guy's going to win because he's got somebody right there supporting him. I mean, they will make it because she's already showing that she's going to support him in winning, and and he already is going to support her. So it's really, he's got a foundation that's going to be really good. It's going to make it easier for him to succeed, and it's going to be fun to watch those two just grow.
Right.
Yeah. So
Something to be said about partners helping each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Big fuck yeah to that. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Sorry, I keep taking my glasses off because I'm trying to.
Well, you
they're
can't
readers.
see us without it.
Yeah.
So what do you think, before we move on from that one, you upgrade your life, you lose 99-ish% of your friends, and then you encounter new people that are more in line with where you're at. Do you think that there's a diminishing amount of that loss of friendship as you continue to improve beyond that first initial, like, I'm changing my life, and like if you just continue on that path with new friends that are aligned with you, do you think it still applies?
So my experience was this. I basically shook the majority of people out of my life, and there was a time where I felt very alone, which was, at the time, it felt really bad, but it was probably one of the best things I ever went through. Because the people that you knew, the people that were in your life, they don't understand. They don't understand what you're doing, whether it be fitness or anything. Mine was more around fitness, but it really went into a lot of mental stuff too. So there was this almost a self-pity, like, I'm doing all this stuff and nobody else is doing it around me. Well, then I started to recognize where I was spending my time, at the gym and even some of the things I was going to go doing extracurricularly. You find people with self-interest, so you actually have better friendships. Am I answering the question right? I'm not sure if
I think so, because that's I think you're getting to the conclusion I arrived at, because I've gone through more than one metamorphosis in my life, and both of you guys kind of got to know me through one of them, and then have continued to be some of my closest friends on the other side of it, and I was like, and I've changed significantly even since you guys have known me, but we still remain really, really tight friends. Like, none of the changes in my life since then have had any effect whatsoever on our friendship.
And I say it all the time. I saw your potential before you ever saw your potential.
Yeah.
Boom. Take that, Shaiden.
Fuck you.
maybe once you clear out the hangers-on and the people that probably don't belong in your life, maybe, that 99%. Then, because then friendships, like, you're supposed to nurture and they get stronger because you get, I don't know, maybe that's a Hallmark commercial.
For me, it sounded like one. For me, I think everything social in my life works in smaller and larger circles, so it's like, it's not so much like when I change, because my changes are less dramatic these days. I've already gone through like my big change, and now I'm just trying to make smaller adjustments to help me grow more,
but still consistent
in the direction.
Growth. That's the
right
thing.
But what I do when I decide something needs to change and then I start working on it, I will reevaluate people in my life as I come in contact with them, and I'll go, okay, well, they're one circle further from me now. That step I took was a step away from them. Not that they're out of my life, but their contact with me, their dynamic with me, I'll just nurture it a little bit less, and I'll leave the ball in their court. And if they want to, if they want to make changes that are closer to where I'm headed, then they move inward by a circle, and I think that's once you get to a point where you're pretty secure in your direction of travel and how you want to change, I think that's a good way to look at your relationships in your life, because it doesn't mean that just because somebody isn't directly in line with what you're doing that they don't deserve any part of your life.
Well, look at the three of us. I mean, we have some things in common, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here and there.
I'm allergic to most of the things.
Yeah, you're mostly allergic and would never do most of the things that I do, but you and I have a really good relationship in other things.
I respect those things. I just don't want to itch all the time.
Fair enough. I think that people that are putting effort into their own lives and moving forward, they're not so goddamn bitter and jealous of other people, and they're encouraging to other people. I mean, the best thing in life, in my opinion, I mean, we need relationships in life, and the best thing is to have those relationships where everybody's growing and encouraging each other to grow. And it doesn't even have to go in the same direction, but they're still going up. Yeah. So you have this respect and this encouragement for the other person.
I think what you're referring to is commonly called maturity.
Okay, fair enough. There's not a lot of that in the world today, though.
It's a good point, though, because I think if you find yourself in a position ever where you're hoping or cheering for somebody else's shortcomings or somebody else's downfall purely because you think that will make you look better as a result, first of all, you didn't earn that. Yep. So that makes you kind of toxic, and second of all, you're not doing yourself any favors either, because that's not progress. That is just the bar getting lowered and you seeming better by default, which is what did you gain? You didn't gain anything from that, and somebody had to lose something for you to get it. So it's really it's a gross behavior.
The other thing that happens to you as you grow yourself and you have some successes in life, whether it's financial or spiritual or whatever it is, you gain a confidence, and you tend to be more encouraging to other people instead of break them down, and you have zero tolerance for people that are just going to beat the shit out of you or beat the shit out of other people, but not step up and do the right thing. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will talk shit about what other people doing, but what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Nothing. You're just sitting there bitching.
That's what. Yeah, I don't know if this makes sense either, but I've always felt. I mean, I'm an artist, so I don't want people to write mean things about what I do. But I've always thought, when it's like, what's a critic? What does a critic contribute to the world? Like, I've never watched a movie because a critic was like, oh man, I don't think I've ever. When somebody says it's so great, you got to see it, it's like, oh, Shawshank Redemption, oh, they were right, okay, fine. But a critic is like someone that doesn't add anything to the world except for like what you were saying, like, instead of being anti something, just be pro the thing, just the words matter. But that's like, a critic is like almost always just a negative, like, I don't know if it's as good as their last one. And it's
so in other words, don't be a cunt is where we're at.
Yeah, it always comes down to that. And no offense if you're a critic listening to the show and stuff, but maybe rethink your life completely.
Well, it's one of those things where you can be a critic as a hobbyist, but and probably maintain some valuable insight, but when you start trying to be critical of things as a professionally,
that's what I mean.
It's like it just seems that you lose the plot somewhere along the way, like all of them. I agree with what you're saying, because I look at critic scores of movies as a good example, and they'll be like, 80-something%, and then the audience score is like 40-something%.
Yeah,
and I watch the movie.
Or how about this?
I watch the movie and I'm like, I'll see for myself, and I'm like, yeah, that was trash.
Right.
How did it get 81% from the people who do this for a living? Like, what?
Right.
Maybe your palate
there's
just
money
changes.
involved.
maybe what you think is good and what isn't. Like, maybe I'm just the guy who doesn't appreciated the back notes of the fine wine that they're drinking. Like,
right.
I'm too boorish to.
I always question that too, where it's like, well, I didn't go to college to know how I like movies. Maybe I don't know how to like movies right.
Or here's something even
I don't
simpler.
know how to drink wine and taste wine right.
If you're going to be critical of what somebody's doing or what they did, you better be able to do it better. And the perfect example I could think of, you ever gone to a bar and watched the UFC fights?
I don't think I ever have.
It is amazing. The more people drink, how seasoned fighters they are. And they're like, go get an arm, bro. Oh man, I would guillotine. Oh, I would have done a double leg sweep. Me a fucking Kimura. I'm like, no, you would have gone up there, curl up in a ball, and shit your pants while he was hitting you in the skull, because you don't know how to fight. You just watch it on TV. Just because you know the names of the moves doesn't mean you can fucking do them.
Same as football and basketball.
Exactly.
And stuff, where they're like, I would have thrown it to the wide. It's like, you can't even throw 12 yards, bro. Yeah. That guy could throw a ball 80 yards. You're not going to do that.
You're not on the team.
They're not looking for you to try
There's a
out
reason
either.
that you're in here and they're on TV.
That's my
You
favorite.
sucked.
That's my favorite response, to pick on people who are over the top sports fanatics, or they're just like, "Oh," I was like, "Hey, how was the game?" And they're like, "Oh, we won." I was like, "Oh, I didn't know you played."
Exactly. Dude,
What position do you play?
Yeah.
Left out. I play left out.
I have a good friend. My mom had to watch his step grandpa, whatever, blah, blah. There's this old man in our life. My mom was involved in his life, and he taught me something very valuable because he was so angry. He's so grumpy about sports. He's 80, 90 years old, and he's yelling at these high school kids, you know, like Gonzaga basketball and shit. And in my mind, I'm just like, damn, I never want to just yell at high school kids and have my day be like revolved around kids I don't know, kids that don't know who I am, and like, I don't. It's like,
But here's the thing.
they're kids.
Leave them alone.
They have nothing to do with your life. I don't know. It's so
We've all
strange.
done this shit, though. I'm not saying I've never done this because we've all done it at times. We've all been the cunt sitting there bitching about something, and then, but now I can take a look at myself and go, I'm a cunt. I need to stop.
Yeah. It was. I felt a little bit personally attacked when you were talking about the UFC thing, because I've been guilty of that in the past.
Of
and
course.
and I'm like,
Everybody drinks beer. We've all been guilty
Yeah,
of it.
right. But like, I was like, I did judo back in the day, so like, at least I know some things. But I'm like, bro, it's been 10 years since you were on a fucking judo mat. You need to shut up.
That's fair. That's being aware of thyself.
I just had that conversation. Somebody was asking me about jujitsu, and I'm like, well, I know jujitsu, but I haven't done it in 9 years. Probably I haven't been on a mat in 9 years. I want to
And it
get back
matters,
into it,
yeah.
but I'm going to get the shit kicked. Honestly, most of my jujitsu was me getting the shit kicked out of me and learning from that.
Yeah, I got choked out a lot. That was my tenure in judo.
I mean, it worked great in my profession. It was amazing. But when it came to skilled people, honestly, I sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, there was always somebody that could kick my ass.
It
always
is.
bigger
It
fish.
is as a little serious aside, though. It's like, it's worth taking some sort of martial art long enough to learn some of the mechanics of it, because
So you can
I'm
yell
not
at the
I'm
TV.
not saying I'm Billy Badass, but I find that I worry about myself a lot less fighting somebody who doesn't know how to fight.
Oh, yeah.
Not that I spend a lot of time fighting, but I can tell by the way they posture up if they're trying to pick a fight. I'm just like, look, you don't want to. I don't want to either, but you definitely don't
Right.
want to.
What was that movie that was?
I know at least 3 more tricks than you do.
What was that movie that was filmed in Spokane? Had my twin in there, Vin Diesel. Seth Green was in it. It was filmed out at Phelps Field.
Oh, the
Knockaround Guys.
Yeah.
So Vince.
I didn't know that was filmed here.
Yeah, Vin. I almost said Vince Vaughn. Vin Diesel in his fight scene in it, the first fight scene. He's talking about 500 fights.
Oh, I don't.
That was
remember.
his goal, was 500 fights. That's when you can say that you know how to fight. And
You're a police
I
officer.
love
so you've
that. I'm
been-
like, yeah. I'm like, I've been in 500 fights for sure. Probably more than that. I mean, I've been in thousands of fights, really.
Yeah.
But not street fights, though. It's different.
Right.
I got rules. I got rules that
Professional
I got to
fights
follow.
where they pick the fight with you.
Right,
likely. I will say for sports fans, there is one like Monday morning quarterback thing that is justifiable, and it's for Seahawks fans. Back in the Super Bowl, you guys know which one. Russell, the coach was like, Carroll said, hey, we've got this great running back, and we're right on the 2-yard line, 1-yard line.
Oh, God.
And then they threw the ball, and then, like, you can Monday morning quarterback that.
I use that
That's okay.
example.
All of Seattle is still mourning that. for
I've had
everything.
times in my life where I felt like I was Seattle on the 1-yard line. You're like, you're going to win. You're like, what the? Why did that run? What the fuck just happened? I was going to. I don't know how that happened.
And that peeked out somebody's dog's barking now when I just did that. Whoopsie-daisy.
What was that? Okay,
Somebody's ears are bleeding. Sorry.
We
move
got
forward.
compressors on.
Yeah.
Compression and limiters.
This one, you will be 10 times happier if you forgive your parents and stop blaming them for your problems.
Fuck yeah.
This one's for you, Zach.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
This one's for me, too. Probably for everybody, really.
It's for
I
me.
don't feel like I have any holdups with either of my parents.
No, I've watched you work through it since I've known you, actually.
Yeah,
You really did.
I don't think about it that much. I mean, my mom's dead and all that good stuff, so I don't have any more to work out there. And I'm good with, I love my mom, and she's gone, and I'm okay with that too. I miss her, obviously, and with my dad, it's like, I don't know, as a man, it's like, I must have been an insufferable kid. It must have been kind of rough for him and
You
all
still
that
are.
stuff.
I think what's...
I say cunt to strangers all week long.
I mean, I'm an old fuck now, but the reality is, as I've gone through life, a lot of the things that I had thought about growing up and the negatives that I had about both my parents, I understand now. It's like, no, you know what? They did the best they could do. And
That's what I was
everybody
going
makes
for.
mistakes. They've only learned from their parents. And I've got to have some really good conversations, more so with my dad than my mom. We just don't talk very much.
Right.
But my dad and I have had great conversations about it.
Yeah, you find out that they're people. When you find out, somebody said this a long time ago, it's probably a movie or something, but when you realize that your parents are people is when you grow up. When you realize that your parents are fallible, and they had the same fears that you have. I think of myself now, and I think of my dad at the same age, and it's like he seemed like a monument compared to what I am. It's like, at 43 years old, he had businesses and owned a home and had all this, wisdom and shit. And I'm like, I'm a fucking dummy, and I'm gonna rent till I'm dead.
Even cooler now is Dad and I can get in some conversations, and I ask him advice about kids and stuff, and kids in particular. And he can go, well, I used to do this and I was wrong. This is what I changed in my life, and this is what has worked for me. And it's really nice to be able to have those conversations. And he's just a humble man. He's like, I know I didn't do everything perfect. I did the best I could.
Yeah.
And my dad ultimately really did a good job, but that doesn't mean that he was infallible.
Right.
So,
right.
Totally forgive any shortcomings of my parents. And at the end of the day, at 18, we're adults. We're just set off to go breed or whatever it is that we do. Here, you go make some humans and take care of them now. Yeah. It's our responsibility to fix our shit.
Well, and part of that too is you don't necessarily, like, some people's parents are perhaps not worthy of forgiveness, I guess, to put it in a weird way. But I mean, I guess the obvious reply to that is forgiveness isn't really for them. It's for you, to stop hanging on to it. But I understand firsthand how hard that can be with certain dynamics, especially as it pertains to your parents. But I've spent a lot of time working through, and I'm not going to run the shame train on my mom on our podcast or anything, but there's a lot of issues that I've had for my entire life with my mom and the way that things went in my childhood. And I have spent a lot of time working through them because I had issues I didn't even realize stemmed from that I've only just realized in the last few years. I was like, that's because of that, and I gotta work on that, because I don't want to let that define me for the rest of my fucking life, But that process of just taking it, examining it, seeing what you can learn, like if there's some value in it, take that out, and then just get rid of it. Like, you don't have to look back and be like, well, I understand they were just a person. You can look back and go, yeah, they did a shit job, but I did get some things out of it, and I've worked on the damage that was done because of it, and I am who I am because of that. So, and that's valuable. So I mean, even if that's where you get to it, or get to with it rather, I think that still counts.
Yeah,
I agree. And like, even my dad, I'm very open. My dad is my hero. I mean, I have 3 heroes in my life, and he's one of them. And he wasn't always my hero. He grew to be my hero as I grew. As I fixed me, as I lived my life, I understood him more and gave him grace. And the fact that my hero is man enough to make mistakes is awesome. I don't want somebody that's infallible. I want somebody that goes, you know what? Fuck that up. But here's what I learned from it, and I'm going to pass this on to you.
Being able to admit that you fuck up is a huge adult thing to be, and it's a wise thing to be. And I don't know. My dad admitted that he fucked up when he did and stuff, but we didn't have that close of a relationship to where we would talk that. I stopped talking to my dad in my early 20s, like 21 or something like that. So 22, 23.
And I don't know if every father-son goes through that. There were times where, I mean, there was probably a couple of years with me and my dad where it was just tense all the time. Yeah. And it was my fault. I blamed him, but it was my fault. Yeah. I was being a fuck up. So.
Yeah, but you were little kids trying to figure out, but we're all grown up little kids trying to figure out shit too. That's the thing, where it's like, your dad should know better. It's like, yeah, but you're not going to know better when you're his age, so think about it like that. It's
really weird to think
you should know better, but damn.
In society, we're just like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I think I'm going to bring a people into this world and and take care of it.
Right.
And try to show them that I don't know what I'm doing, but pretend like I know what I'm doing. Odd concept.
It's a complicated little fucking ride, Ron, for sure.
No, thank you. No.
Exactly. I used no
You
thank
just
you
wait.
a couple times.
I'm just waiting. I am
Yeah,
just
go
waiting for you to get that phone call someday.
Ooh.
I am going to be tickled pink.
It's not going to happen
Oh,
because I manage my margin of risk very well. It's hard to have a kid when you
Just takes
don't
one.
do the deed.
There you
Just
go.
takes one.
Oh, he's cheering for that. Look at this.
I
guy.
kinda am a
He is
little
son of a bitch.
You know, you can
You
fuck
should
right
be
off,
bre-
dude.
No, here's the thing. There are people in this world who probably should not breed. You are not one of those people.
Get out of here with your eugenics bullshit, dude. I know really good, smart people that had a monster for a child. Genetics is a roll of the fucking dice.
It is a lot.
But it's
But you'd be
there's
a good parent.
genetics,
He's saying you'd
but
be
it's
a
what
good
you, the value that you could bring to
Oh, I'd
somebody's
be a great
life.
fucking parent.
There you go.
I don't doubt that at all.
You could be a good Big Brother, Big
I
Sister
just could
program.
be a great a lot of other things that I wouldn't have time for if I was
It's
busy
just
being
my
a great
opinion.
parent.
I want the world full of good people. I'd be thrilled if you would produce.
Well, I'll take it for the compliment it was, but don't wish that evil on me if ever again.
And I want you to go through a little bit of misery at the same time because it'd make me feel better.
No gonad gremlins for this guy.
All right, number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4. I was calling my cat. He's dead. Sorry.
Well, sorry to you, Dick.
I
Train
can't
your-
say number 4 without doing that
know.
because of you, you fucker.
Well, it's the copying noises, and you did
Did
it.
you see
It's
the
like,
video?
well, now we're all
Did you see
dickheads.
the video that I put on the shitbox of Matt Miller? Matt Miller
Yeah,
made
I
me
saw
a video
that.
a long time
The
ago
kitty.
with the cat.
That was funny.
No, I'm allergic to
Which I
Facebook.
missed that guy.
it.
I don't know whatever happened. I need to reach out to him, actually. He was a good dude.
He's good. Dude.
He is a good dude.
Absolutely.
Anyway, train yourself to let people win arguments on purpose to conserve your mental health. I struggle with this one because if I'm in an argument, I'm probably trying to drive home a point, or I feel that I'm right about something, understanding that I have. I guess this is where you have to understand you have blind spots and maybe you're wrong, or maybe it's just not worth it because the other person's blind spots are so big that you're never going to get them to see, so it's not worth your fucking time.
Some people, when they say 1 + 1 = 19, you're like, yes, it does, and they move on. Like, I've definitely found some energy is. But I'll argue with anybody though.
Learn
so
the
I'm happy to
difference
argue with
between defeat and tactical retreat.
and maybe that, I mean,
I guess like this battle is pointless. It's going to cost me more than the outcome will be worth. So I'm just going to choose to let them
19
have
it
it.
is.
Just let them have
that's
it.
this is one I have to work on. This is a tough one for me.
It's tough for me too. I
So-
will argue with anyone, and it's like, well, why don't we just get? I mean, I have good faith in you. You have good faith in me. Let's fucking get to the bottom of things. But a lot of times, people don't have good faith in the talking points.
I will say
Sources.
that when it comes to the social medias and the Facebooks and stuff, I don't get involved in those conversations anymore. I don't know, because you're not arguing with the person.
Often
and
you're
you're
arguing
missing
with
all
a
the
14-year-old
communication.
boy.
So I've at least stopped that. But if I have somebody's attention, and we're in a, I don't know, I guess we're talking disagreements. You know, I'm going to voice my opinions because that's the best we can bring, opinions and experiences. But if they don't want to accept them, there's no way. You can't pound it into their frontal lobe.
Right.
It's just not possible.
Conversations,
But I
had
try to really, 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 really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I've literally spent a lifetime of trying to sacrifice my own life to make other people's lives better, and that's been a fault.
talk
So,
people into doing the right thing,
right.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I need to fix that about myself.
I don't
Fall
know.
on your face, then come to me.
I think a lot. It depends on the person. I think you've influenced a lot of people in a lot of great ways, including people that have been literally on a bridge ready to jump, and you've talked them down. So I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean,
That's
yeah,
more-
there's some cool parts to that. Yeah, there's some wins.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the losses. The losses are the ones you're like, maybe just let this one go.
well, okay.
I mean, I'm not saying jump, but
No.
You know what? You know,
You caught me on the wrong day, sir.
that
Go
one-
ahead and just
that
do
one
what
caught
you
up
need.
with me a little late.
the
but
last
it did
jumper
get
that I
there.
had though, I'm like, you don't have to do this today, and I'm not working tomorrow, so I won't be here to talk you out. So just come down today. Just come down now. If you still want to do it tomorrow, you can do it tomorrow. You know what? It fucking worked. And he's still alive today, by the way.
Fuck yeah, you knew what you were doing, but
I
that
did.
is funny though.
It's more important getting through that moment in particular
Yep.
than is. Yeah, I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. But as far as your point here goes, I find what's helped me to be able to swallow those self-inflicted losses a little bit better is when I get to that point where I'm like, fuck, I should just let this go. This isn't productive. I'll ask myself, how how much is this person's opinion worth to me if they just decide to agree with me? Or like, do I really care that much if they capitulate? And is that worth the effort that I'm putting into this? And if the answer is yeah, I really care, then I must have a good reason for trying to get through to them, and maybe I'll continue. But if a lot of times the answer is like, you know what, no, like this is going to have no effect on my life. I was just trying to
almost no one
I was just trying
way.
to plant this seed in this person, but they're obviously not ready for that, so I guess I'll just leave it.
On that note, I've talked about this. I won't say the person, but there's a person that we all know that I did have those conversations with, generally on the Facebooks, and it was always just argument, instead of answering the question, making it a new subject. But I did have those arguments with this person consistently, always thinking that he never heard.
Right.
But what I learned a few months down the road, he actually did. He wasn't going to admit it nationally on the Facebooks, but he heard every word I said, and he made some changes, and his life is going in a much better direction now.
Right.
He stopped basically being a whiny little bitch and fixed his shit. Quite frankly.
That's how it goes, though. When I mention planting seeds, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to just plant a seed and see it sprout immediately, and it may never.
So it was. I guess
he's
my
still
point
a
is, it
whiny
was
bitch,
worth
dude.
the argument. I had the argument, and yes, it was rough on my mental health because I'm like, why does this fucking guy not? Why is he doing what he's doing? Why does he not understand?
He's still kind of a whiny bitch, dude.
He is, but he's getting better. All I can ask
Sure.
for is improvement. I can't expect
I ain't judging
perfection.
him. I don't give a fuck. But yeah, I am judging him actually. He's
You
a
are.
whiny bitch. Yeah, but, I mean, less whiny.
But he's less whiny, and he's being much more positive, and he's actually doing some things for himself instead of just wallowing in his own fucking self-pity.
Right.
And that's all I can ask somebody to do. Just try.
Yeah.
You don't have to fucking win. Just try.
No shit.
That's all I give a shit about.
The universe only asks that you do your best. That's it. That's all any of us can ask of anyone is do your best. And if you fail, goddamn, we've all done it. We've
And
all
to
failed.
expect perfection from anybody else, they would have to expect perfection from me. Well, you ain't gonna fucking get it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of studies in psychology that the data shows that your chances of changing somebody's mind when you're talking about something that they have already chosen to believe in an
almost
argument
zero.
is like basically zero.
Yeah.
Like you in the course of an argument, even if they back down or concede to your point, the chances are next to nothing that you will make them change just because of your argument. But where it
Should have
starts
seen
to
those studies a few years ago would help me a lot.
where it starts to get interesting, though, is exactly what you're talking about, Jeff, where it's like they weren't ready to have that change in their life at that point, but maybe a day, a week, a year later, they've lived more, they changed, and they remember what you said in that conversation.
And there's some
and they're like, okay, I'm ready for that now.
Right or wrong, there's a little self-satisfaction in knowing that I was responsible for that seed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not
sure.
the only one, and maybe there had to be some personal factors in order for that seed to sprout. But I put it there, and that makes me feel good. And
That's a worthy thing to take pride in.
It's arrogant, but I'm still proud.
I don't think
of
it's
it.
arrogant.
And we got Michelle, the poultry princess, walking around here, and that is awesome.
She was agreeing with your,
We have to
your
have
point there.
for the record, I'm not sure how many podcasts have chickens in their podcast studios.
This is it's a live sound bed that we've worked into.
Once
just
again,
right.
SKATCAST throwing in some sound effects for your earballs.
She needs a little crown.
Our triologue just became a quadrilogue.
Actually, there's a dog and a wife in here as well. Not in that order.
I'm going to take her upstairs.
Okay. Look at the little chicken. What would you like to
Actually,
tell?
I think we just mic her up and
Yeah,
see what she's got to say about
opinions.
She's got her little diapers on. That's so fucking- they're pretty stylish. She's a black chicken with purple diapers, and they're just beautiful.
things. Poultry princess.
Bye, sweet girl.
What's our next point?
Number 5, you become more mature when you train yourself to take nothing personally.
Oh,
I think I'm getting way better at this. I don't think I was ever bad at this. My skin is thick.
It was a good list, by the way.
So is your
It
head.
was a better list than last week's
It
list.
is.
Last week's wasn't bad, but this list is much
This
better.
isn't Mark. This isn't Mark Manson. This is
I'm not
just a
talking shit
random
about
thing.
Mark either. I'm sure.
And I like that guy. I was a little. I'm like,
I love
He's
Marky
kinda-
Mark.
I really like him.
He's
I really
funky
like him in
munches.
his books, and I'm like, oh, you guys are fucking with one of my heroes, but he probably deserves it. So,
But this is good.
yeah. So should I read that again?
Yes, please.
You become more mature when you train yourself to take nothing personally.
That's huge.
I don't know how you train somebody to do that.
Attachments. Having attachments. I mean, this is a big ass topic. I mean, you have to have your ego. Your ego is important. It's like what identifies you from you. It is you.
Are we born with an ego, or is it developed as we grow?
I really don't know the answer to that. I would imagine they're born with it.
This was actually a topic I was going to bring up.
It's probably
at one
both.
point.
I think you're born with the capacity for it. At the very least, would be a fair thing to say. But I think when you're a child, you're far more your id is what they call it. And then as you grow, you develop your ego, and then ideally you get past that into superego, which is essentially what you're talking about. It's a psychological term for it, and it's some people like to call it ego death, but I don't think that's really
people
true.
refer to ego as being bad, but I don't think that having an ego is necessarily a negative thing. I think an ego keeps you honest with yourself.
Like when you look into like Eastern, let's say Hinduism, Buddhism,
there's some negative things about
having
it.
An ego is like you don't get spiritual enlightenment without an ego. I mean, the ego is the part of the self that you would know that you're enlightened, kind of thing. So you have to have an ego. So it's kind of a weird.
I think the point would be to refine your ego to the point where it's not holding the reins. You know what I mean? You get.
I guess ego isn't a positive or a negative thing, just like masculinity isn't a positive or negative thing. It's what you do with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I bring up ego because the ego is what gives you the power of attachment. Like, you know, if somebody wrongs you, your ego, you're attached to whatever it is that they made fun of or whatever it is. You know, if you can, I think the essence of some of the like the Eightfold Path and stuff like that is to remove, and to be a Jedi is to remove attachments, and not to not love things, but to let, you know, things not hurt you as much, not have such a connection personally to every outcome in the world. So it becomes that's kind of a stoic point where it's like, just, you know, take what comes at you and try and enjoy and or make sense and make the best of that kind of thing.
And sometimes there's just not an answer.
If something external causes you to feel personally attacked, it's a primary indicator of you drawing your identity and self-worth from without instead of within. So if you can manage to get to a point where your self-worth and your value and your solidarity comes from places inside of you instead of shit that's around you, then it's really fucking hard to offend you, because you're like, everything I care about me comes from me. So you can insult the things that I do and I don't care, because that's not me. It's just something I'm engaged in. So like, that doesn't hurt me. That's just stuff out here that you can touch. You can't touch the shit inside of me.
That's going to confuse most people. They're gonna be like, what are you talking about? Fuck you. Yeah. This is your fault.
Well, go and meditate on a mountaintop. Think about what I said.
They will not. The person I'm thinking of in my head will not be doing that. All right. Moving on to the next one.
Number 6. Says you do not need 100 self-help books. All you need is an action and self-discipline. Me, who loves self-help books, I mean, I read them regularly. I'd agree with that. If you need a self-help book to get you, how should I say this? I would say that self-help books get your brain thinking. But it doesn't matter what the book says. You can read 100 books. If you don't take any action and create the self-discipline that they're trying to get implemented into your life, then you're just wasting your fucking time. The lessons are there. You still have to do the work. You still have to put in the effort. And guess what? Effort takes effort. It's hard. It's supposed to be. Enjoy it. Because if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. Everybody'd be squared away.
Right. It's amazing what principle you'll take from some book, and that'll drive you to be disciplined. You know, I watched a few people in my life read those kind of books, and they're like, most of it was crap, but I found this nugget, and I changed my life.
Sometimes that's all it takes is a few choice words put in, and it's kind of been my mission in life, right? Trying to put together a succession of words that resonates with somebody to get them to go, oh, this is up to me. Fuck, I've been waiting for someone else and thinking I'm a victim, and why is the world so shit? Oh, I'm not doing dick. I need to get up and do something. Fucking hey, I got the answer. How amazing.
Hot take: any self-help book that doesn't tell you it's your responsibility is not a good self-help book.
There are some good, like, you've given us some already, and some that have been valuable. We're going to read a letter from somebody that you recommended a book to them, and it helped them a lot. Do you have any books like that came across?
I've spent the majority of my life looking down my nose at self-help books. I've never liked them because my gut reaction to them ever since I was a youth was that it was like dipshit profiteering. Like, it's just like, oh, look at all these people that are fucking up. I'll write a book that tells them how to fuck up less, and they'll just keep fucking up, but they'll pay me for it, you know? And I was like, and there's an element of it to that, and I won't be convinced otherwise. But
sure.
But like you said, a book is just a repository of somebody's thoughts put to paper, you know? So it's like anybody who spends enough time thinking to write a whole book and get it published, you can probably find at least one valuable thought in there that'll be useful to you. And that's been a piece of my personal growth where I no longer openly am just like, fucking self-help books, yeah, that's stupid. Like, just figure it out. Stop being dumb.
I think if you have the ability to read them and apply them into your life, not just read what the words are, but read and digest. Excuse me, I have to cough.
Cough away,
that
dude.
was good personal growth, buddy.
Yeah, digest what's said and being able to implement it into your life. That's the key. Yeah. But then implement it and then go do it.
Right.
Go do it.
But there's like books like Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Which I read at 18.
Yeah, and I mean, there's 3 or 4 really valuable nuggets in there. Mm-hmm. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is something valuable for people to understand money a little bit better.
That was like that Simple Path to Wealth by Jim Collins that I recommended. That's definitely a financial self-help book.
What was Ogmandito?
And I was like, wow, that's actually a really great book.
Yeah, Art of War is a self-help book in some sense. Yeah. You know, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius is certainly a self-help book, even though it's old. And
Marcus Aurelius is great, dude.
It is. I love Epicurus,
love that
Epictetus, all those fucking Stoics are very... I start my day off every day reading a couple.
I've never had Epictetus.
You got the shot when you were a kid. Yeah. Thank goodness. All right.
Hey, back off my boy, all right? Epictetus is shit, bro.
You can't expect honesty from people who even lie to themselves. Think about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I call bullshit on that.
Don't we all lie to ourselves?
Because we are the easiest person to lie to is ourselves.
Yeah.
How many times a day do we fucking lie to ourselves? I mean, this is something that everybody has to work on every day. Yeah. We fill ourselves with so much bullshit, so much justification for not doing something or doing something, and we're lying to ourselves. It can be good and it can be bad. You know, if you are... I mean, I can lie to myself while I'm running and say I don't hurt, and I can go an extra couple miles where I'm hurting. That's a good lie, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can. You know, I don't know. I can
get away with
this. You know, not doing this for a few days because it's my back hurts or some shitty ass excuse.
Yeah, I don't know that. Because like you said, everybody lies to themselves in some capacity, but
do it
I guess
less,
maybe
I guess.
Maybe what they're driving at is somebody who's living that lie as opposed to just telling themselves those little lies in their head once in a while. But like, you know, we've all met a person that's just like the way that they see themselves and the way that they talk about themselves is very obviously antithetical to the way that they behave, and it's that's a solid indicator that you can't trust that person. Yeah. So I guess if that's where that's coming from, then I agree. But
can you read it one more time? Let's just define.
You can't expect honesty from people who even lie to themselves.
Yeah. Well,
sure you can.
I just disagree with that.
But I talk to be honest, and then when they show that they're not, it's like, well, fuck.
God, I'm the opposite. I expect everybody's lying to me, and then I'm like pleasantly surprised.
I only give them one shot. One lie's all day.
Well, you saw my life. Everybody lied to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, dude. Fuck.
And I had to figure. Policing is a science. My victims lie to me, my suspects lie to me, and I have to figure out what most likely happened.
Right.
What was most likely true.
And so when you walk into the normal world, you're like, I'm sure everyone else is honest all the time. I could trust them all.
Well, it's just everybody's, no matter how much of a paragon you might seem to be, everybody's operating at their core in their own self-interest. So...
And that's okay.
And that is okay, but that also precludes them from being able to be trustworthy to me personally by default. trust has to be earned, you know? And so, like, I would say that would be a wiser thing to put in there, is that just understand that everybody should have to earn your trust. And if you give it away for free, you're opening yourself up to damage.
Yep. Fair enough.
I respect you until you teach me otherwise, is the way I look at it. I don't know if I trust anyone.
Yeah.
So it's respect that I imagine, and I give good faith when I meet a person. It's like, barring things where there's red flags, you know, in their hair color or some, I don't know, whatever. But you know what I mean? But until you teach me otherwise, I imagine you're a good person, just because why not?
Yeah.
That's the way I want to look at the world.
I think that's fine. I don't know that I can go that far with it personally and just imagine that everybody's a good person, but I do my best to avoid imagining that they're a bad person right out of the gate. I just try to keep everybody neutral. I'm just like, oh, whatever, this is a thing. Let's see what it turns out to be.
People teach you who they are, though, pretty quick.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
It seems
I think you
I
can
agree
live a
with that.
lie in front of somebody for about 6 months. And you know, I've had this conversation. I think you got about 6 months, and then the true colors really start coming out. I think
unless
think
you're
about
a
all your
really
past
talented
relationships.
sociopath, then
takes a, yeah.
Think about relationships in your lives. I mean, 6 months is about that time where you're like, yeah, this is fucked. Well, whoops, I was wrong about
Tried
you.
this out.
Now I'm
No.
stuck.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Number
Next.
8.
Number 8 out of 9.
Most people are stuck in toxic relationships because they are afraid to be alone. That was a huge part of my life, for sure.
super true.
Yeah. I'm not afraid to be alone, so I don't get that.
I'm not anymore. I was once upon a time, but I've been cured of that.
I married another only child, so I'm in my personal heaven.
Yeah.
So
I actually like being alone. I prefer being alone, and I've kind of always been that way, but I want to be alone by choice, not because I don't have any choice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's,
didn't
I guess
drive
that's
all
what
the
I'm talking
people
about. Yeah.
that
Like
could have cared
I don't
back
want
away.
to, I was afraid to be in a position where I could reach out and there would be nobody reaching back. That used to freak me out. It doesn't anymore, but I don't think at this point in my life I would ever find myself in that position, just because of the way that I've aligned myself with certain values and people in my life. Like there's probably not a whole lot that I would conceivably do that would cause either one of you to be like, nope, fuck off, Shaiden.
right. You're forgiven until the end,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
At least this lifetime.
It's funny. I can get overwhelmed by too much stimulation from people and have to go be alone.
Yeah.
And when I'm alone, guess what? I miss people.
Yeah.
Jeff
So-
gets overstimulated and then he bites.
Yeah, and then I get alone, but it's really good think time. Then like, well, now I miss people.
Yeah.
So,
We're very social.
but it took me a long time to even figure out how to be alone. I'm talking even out in the woods.
Well, it's
I
good.
didn't like
It's good to spend time alone because it gives you a chance to miss people. I mean, if you're constantly, even if you're the most extroverted person, if you're constantly forcing yourself to be around people because you're like, this is what I like, you never really get a chance to miss people. So you don't.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you're able to value them as much as you would be otherwise.
We're the best at taking things for granted. For sure.
And it's the times of being alone where I got to be the most honest with myself and
Yeah.
learned a lot about myself. Back to that self-honesty
We
thing.
need alone time to
Yeah.
sit under a tree and think about stuff. Okay, real quick to linger on this a little bit. So what? Put yourself in the situation of you did drive away all your friends. You don't have a wife or any kids or anything like that. What would you do in that situation when the loneliness was like not? It wasn't by choice anymore. What do you, in this world with the way it is? What would you do to change that, or or how would you handle it?
With what I know now, I would be looking at that situation and looking for common denominators, and invariably I would arrive at the conclusion that I'm the common denominator, so
Right.
it must be an issue with me. And so I would just lean into the suck of being alone because obviously I earned it. And I would start working on addressing what it is that I need to change so that I'm not alone anymore.
Right. Okay.
So, but there you go. You're pushed into a corner where you are miserable in your life. You finally get to the point where I have to make change. This is not about everybody else. This is about me, and I have to make changes in my life if I want these things.
What's the common denominator that makes people alone? What leads people to a life like that?
They're cunts.
Involuntarily. Yeah, okay. So it's not being able to communicate with people. It's not being able to
There's dishonesty in
compromise
there.
with people, maybe lie. Yeah. Well, if you're lying to people, then you deserve to.
It's not so much blatant lies. It's pretending to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
Again, what Shaiden was saying, portraying something that really isn't what is inside of you. Yeah. It's so hard to, these people. I know people that are like, well, I'm a chameleon. I can get along in any group. Well, I can communicate in any group, but there are groups that I'm not comfortable in. Just because I can have a conversation, it doesn't mean I'm not going to pretend to be part of this group.
Right.
I'm not going to fake it because I know I'm going to get burned.
Right.
Does that make sense? It would be like me pretending like I like all your sci-fi movies and sit there and cheer on the movies that I fucking
see him
hate.
at Comic-Con, dressed up like an Ewok.
There's going to be a point where you're going to watch me fucking explode and be like, he's a liar.
He just starts punching dorks.
We're going,
you dork.
We're gonna when we get to a bazillion Patreon subscribers, which will never happen, I'm gonna force Jeff to go to SoccerCon, dress up like an anime character.
Yes. Yes.
Do I get to? I'll try anything. I'll get into the furry world.
Your lady,
it's not
your lady
all
will talk
furries,
to you.
bro.
I know, right? What the hell?
Even anime weebs don't like furries. Okay.
Gotta separate these things. There's a big.
I'll try anything once. Well, almost anything.
Hey, I'm just saying,
would be a great
we
cosplayer.
deck you out like Kratos and take you to an anime convention.
Is that my guy?
Best time of your life, dude.
Yeah, he would. You'd kill it as Kratos, and then and your lady could dress up. What would she dress up as?
I don't know.
Who's Kratos' love interest in this game?
She's dead. Both
right.
of them are dead.
Oh, yeah. Well.
You can just lay there then.
All right. Last one, right? Number 9.
The most difficult mission on the earth is to focus on your dreams. The easiest task is to complain.
Okay, one more time.
The most difficult mission on earth is to focus on your dreams. The easiest task is to complain.
I'm past that.
I'll say okay.
I've been focused for a lot of years, and I ain't complaining about shit. The universe doesn't owe me fuck all.
I don't know if those two are, well, I guess he's
I'm
not
tired,
saying
though.
they're mutually exclusive, but I've been focused on my dream for the majority of my adult life.
Same.
And even before, but I've sure as hell bitched about it.
I bitched about plenty. I bitched less, I guess I should say. But no, I'm in a good spot.
But sometimes there's value in complaining about shit. There really is, because if you got something just gnawing on you and you're just fucking tired of it and you're bitching, if you've got the right person in front of you to ask the right questions, it can really help you work through what the problem is. You're complaining, but your complaining better come to a resolution.
Right.
Not just bitch to bitch and complain to bitch and complain.
Well, then it becomes
bitch,
something else,
complain,
right?
and then go, okay, what can I do to make this better? You may not be able to do anything other than remove yourself, but you're still taking an action.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it still complaining if you're doing it constructively?
Yeah,
Is it complaining, or is it
working?
working through a problem?
Yeah,
That's
I think
what
it
I'm
would be a
saying.
different.
I don't know if
different
it's
issue.
really complaining at
Complaining
that
is
point,
a-
because complaining to me
Negative.
kind of denotes a desire
Ignorance.
for attention and more than a solution, which is like, don't do that. That's
Yeah.
distasteful.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're not focused
It's
on
okay to bitch about stuff though. I guess I agree with you on that sense, Jeff, where it's like, yeah, sometimes especially if it's something that can't be fixed immediately, you're just like, this is really fucking bothering me and I want to complain about it.
Yeah. But I wonder, because that's in context of dreams, right? So I wonder, is like, you're spending your time, instead of doing the actions towards working towards your goal, you're complaining about somebody else's
Or
ability,
you're complaining
keeping
because you
from
don't.
it, or-
You're complaining that you don't have it, but you haven't put in the work yet.
right, or you didn't
Maybe.
get to go to this school, or you weren't born in this place, or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Complaining in general is generally a waste of your time, unless you're saying like what you're talking about, like it's to solve an issue or some shit. But if it's about your dream, like, I can't do this because the music industry's all fucking stupid and the fucking Napster and shit, it's like, well, just write good songs. I know it is true, but just write good songs. Just be better at writing songs and make it undeniable. Otherwise, there's a lot of people that have talent. So sorry.
Do you guys find in your personal lives that it helps you to talk about your shit, like what's wrong?
Oh hell yeah.
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 If you,
Well,
I have to verbalize a
depends
lot
on
of
who
it.
it's with. But yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I have to verbalize a lot of it, and I'm one of those crazy guys that'll talk out loud to himself.
Right.
Because
Yeah, I
don't
never
know.
do that.
Me either.
It seems to help my brain better if I literally talk about it instead of listening to 3,000 voices in my head.
Right.
Because I can focus on it better. I think it gives you a lot more direction, and you can work through problems better.
Yeah.
I have never been that way. there are times where I value talking about things in order to get some outside perspective, but that's about where its utility ends for me. As talking about things that are bothering me almost always makes me feel worse about them.
I see what you're saying.
My whole life, because I feel like by talking about them out loud, I'm like breathing life into them. I'm making them more real, especially if it's like mental shit that I'm wrestling with that there really isn't an immediate remedy for. It's just like shit, like demons breathing down the back of my neck. And I'm like, he's like, oh, well, just tell me what's going on. What's bothering you? And I'm like, I really would rather not.
So
like,
speaking about it doesn't help you identify it?
Well,
no, because it's not, I mean, it depends on the thing, but some things there's just not a remedy for, and talking about it just reminds me that there's not a remedy for it. And then I'm like, fuck, now I talked about it and I spent all that time focusing on it, and it's just worse now.
Well, it's a Stoic principle, what you're saying. I mean, like when you admit in your head, and I shouldn't use the word admit, but when you say, oh, that bothered me, that guy saying that shit bothered me, when you start saying it bothered me, it bothered me, it bothered me, you're admitting that it affected you, and you're deciding that it affected you in a way,
giving it power over me. I guess,
so the Stoic principle is that the moment that you say, that's why they say in Stoicism, you should never hear yourself complain out loud. No one should ever hear you complain, because that's admitting that this stuff, I decided to allow this to affect me. I mean, obviously it's going to affect you inside and stuff, but the more, it's basically words matter and thoughts are words. What's that?
But I think there's an honesty in that too.
There is.
Because we're all
this
human.
Is Stoicism. I'm not sure I ascribe to that necessarily.
I'm not arguing with you about it.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about what you're saying. I'm like, I get the point, but I think the way that I operate, it's like, no, I have to talk about shit because but I'm a solution guy.
Yeah.
If there's a situation where I can't get a solution, I get really frustrated.
This is one of those areas where I wouldn't ever say the way that I do it is the way that everyone should look at it and do it, because it's different person to person. The way that your mind works is not the way that my mind works, and so like it's just been I've found myself to be the minority in that area throughout my life, where people are like, dude, just talk about it, just tell me what's going on, and I'm like, no, like that's okay, like I really would rather not. Like talking about it doesn't really help me. And they go, oh no, that's not true, you'll feel a lot better if you tell me about it. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you.
Do other people kind of end up, and I don't want to say disappoint, because I know you're not putting that kind of weight on people and stuff, but is it kind of that essence where it's like when you do talk about it with certain people in your life, in your history, they make it worse, or they make it so you feel dumb or regret talking to them about it, like you said?
that's definitely part of it. And I think also on their side of the equation, I think there's been times where people are sincerely offering to listen, and they're being empathetic towards me, and then me not taking them up on it makes them feel like I didn't value that, or maybe I don't trust them enough to tell them about my shit. And it's almost never that. Like if somebody offers to listen and I want to get some shit off my chest, I'll let it rip. Like I'm not shy, but there's stuff that I'm just like, no, I don't want to talk about it. It's not you, it's me.
Right. Isn't this kind of a common thing that happens in relationships? It's usually tagged as a woman just wants to talk about something, the man wants to fix the problem, and she's like, no, I just want to tell you about my day and complain about it. Just listen to me. That on the surface to me is like, well, if you're as a man, I'm like, in my makeup, no, you're talking to me because we need to come to a solution about this, where they just want to bitch. But if you're bitching and you're verbalizing it to me because you're going to come up with a solution, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But if you're just bitching to bitch, I don't want to hear it.
Right.
Oh shit, dude, you need to get over that. You know how I look at that? I look at that as, okay, do you want me to help you fix this, or do you just want me to listen? I just want you to listen. I go, okay, great. I listen, I give it the attention it's due, I give him a hug, and then I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm off the hook, back to doing what I was doing.
I can listen to you talk, fucking that's part of the relationship. Right? Fair enough.
And we've all done it. I'm not saying it's a woman man thing, because I know that I've done it, complaining about something, and in my head I'm working it out, I'm just verbalizing it,
right?
And then I'm getting input that I don't want. I'm like, no, I don't want your input. I'm gonna figure this out. I just need to get it out of me.
Right.
So then I can lay it out and look at it.
Well, that's why I recommend everyone picks up a piano or a guitar and just put your little feelers out into those things. No? Okay.
I mean, that's what I did.
I don't know. So you're saying, Shaiden's saying, bottle it in.
Yeah.
Jeff saying,
push that shit deep down,
pour the bottle
repress
out.
it.
Just your skeletons. I just want your skeletons repressed.
And
Never let those out of the closet.
and I'm saying try and trick yourself into thinking that when you're feeling bad, you're feeling good. So take what advice you want with that.
Quality triologue over here.
There's no advice,
Triologue.
but maybe look at yourself and see how when you're in that frustrated, complain moment, be honest with yourself and say, are you just complaining or are you working the problem out and you're going to come up with a solution? I think the best alternative is to come up with a solution. Mm-hmm. And if there isn't a solution, figure out how you're going to deal with the problem then.
Right.
How you have that perceived problem in your life, you're going to have to live with it if you can't fix it. So you're going to have to accept it as just part of life.
Yeah. And don't complain about it to Zach because he'll make fun of you.
I'll put you on my show.
Just kidding. He's a big teddy bear.
I mean, some kind of thing. Sasquatch, werewolf. I don't know.
He's just a big blow up sex doll.
Basically, just blow me and I'll fucking show up. Well, on that note, we're going to move on to back rooms.
Yeah.
Not bathrooms, back rooms.
Yeah, the
and Shaiden's
back
going to teach
rooms.
us about,
So this is a...
I don't know what the fuck we're getting into.
This is a modern day urban legend. I don't know when it started, but it's sometime recently, like I want to say in the last couple of years. I just came across it maybe 2 months ago-ish, and I thought it was kind of nifty at the time, but I find myself thinking about it all the fucking time, like throughout the day, because I'm just like, ooh, what
Is this
if?
going to change us?
What if?
Oh.
Ooh, what
You've
if?
got my attention.
Yeah.
What do we got?
So the theory of the back rooms is that there are places in the world where you can kind of like glitch through reality, like kind of like clipping through a wall in a video game. Like you're not supposed to be able to go through there, but your character just moved just right and was like, "Wah!" and like went through the wall, and then you're in like you're in the empty space or whatever in between, like
they didn't
in
mean
between
for me
reality.
to be here.
Yeah. So the back rooms is that, and it's kind of started out as this like cool amateur found footage shit. Like one of my favorite ones I saw was this girl was sitting in a garage on like the concrete, and she had like a little like 6-inch by 6-inch square taped out on the garage floor, and she was taking little items like tape measure, batteries, a tennis ball, and dropping it into the square. Instead of bouncing off the floor, it was just going through the floor on this little square. And she was like, guys, check this out, look. And then she dropped her phone while she was filming it and like tried to reach for it, and she fell through the hole, and all the shit she had been dropping through fell on the floor with her into the back rooms, and she was stuck there. And the back rooms is this endless expanse of like drab, empty office space, like kind of off-white yellow walls, humming fluorescent lights that are just like annoying.
Most
and, like,
people's hell when they really think about it. Yeah,
just like that shitty thin old carpet that's like super thin and mushed down by tons of foot traffic over the years, probably has coffee spilled in it and
So
shit.
like a scene from Saw, basically.
Kinda, but there's nothing there, and it's just like a series of rooms, and as you wander around, you're stuck there. Like your timeline stops, so you're stuck there forever. Like you don't age. You can die if something kills you, but there's not a lot in there, so you're just wandering this endless maze of these rooms. But then you'll come across these rooms where like perspective is weird. Like you'll come into a room that has a normal table and chairs, but they'll be 3 times as tall as you are, and then there was like creatures that were introduced, or there's creatures that'll chase you through certain parts of the back rooms, and there's like special rooms that you can find, and people are like trying to map out like, oh, when I was in the back rooms I found this area and that area, and people are adding, like, expanding the map of this, this theoretical back rooms place.
So I have to do bath salts to do this? What?
Yeah, it sounds like total bullshit, but I want to go on the ride.
How do
It is certifiably
is it
total
ayahuasca
bullshit
stuff, or what am I doing? No.
But it's cool.
How do we
It's
look
cool
into
to
this
think
more?
about, because it's like, it's like 100% not true, but 100% fun to think about, because like I'll just like we've all come across these weird little
This is like poltergeist
things in reality,
this feels
where
like
it's like
Hollow
that
Earth
seems
for
like
me,
a glitch.
where I'm like, I like this a
Yeah,
lot. I know it's not
right?
true at all, but I like it a lot. All of the things.
Yeah.
Show me a map
So
of
I'm
that.
picturing the original poltergeist where the porthole was the TV.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
That's where the ball was dropping.
Yeah.
That by itself, like, so there's a video of somebody doing that. Immediately, I'm like, I could make that video.
Yeah.
So it's like, but But then she dropped the phone with
she
it
was
filming.
She was filming from above while she was dropping things in, and
In
then,
a garage,
and then
and it-
accidentally dropped the phone, and it was falling for the hole. And she's like, "No, not my phone!" And reached for it reflexively, and then whoa into the back rooms.
Damn.
So how'd you get back and did she get the video while she was in the back rooms?
Haven't heard from her since.
But we have the footage.
But we have the footage
Or do-
from her
do we have-
phone that went through the porthole.
Right.
There's some holes in the story.
Maybe there's Wi-Fi in the back rooms.
Maybe, yeah. There's a whole. That's what the dark web is. It's a bunch of backroom website
And
servers.
it's a young urban legend, so it's still being added to. So like whenever you find holes, it's just an opportunity for somebody to be like, "That's because there's this special room where you can
Fucking-
do this."
I like
thing."
my generation where you'd say Bloody Mary 3 times in a mirror and she'd appear behind you. Those were cooler.
That was cool. This one's got a lot of potential though, because it's a video game analogy that I like. It's like, oh yeah, that's for us.
It's fun, man. If you want to lose an hour or two, just go search the back
Well,
rooms.
some hours you can never get back.
Yeah.
The back rooms.
But you'll find yourself
I
thinking
feel like they're
about
just
it.
going to find a lot of porn.
Do it and then tell me you
Mainly.
don't find yourself thinking about it. Like, ooh, good thing I didn't go there. I would have ended up in the back rooms.
That just adds another phobia for people. Where they're
Right.
like, there might be a little place where I can fall into a goddamn office space that I hate.
Well, we have those areas on the Earth. They talk about the magnetic force fields and the magnetic pole. So, like,
San Jose.
you can't get a house that's actually level because the magnetic
That's right.
forces in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually kind of buy into that shit.
Do you ever?
Not that I've ever seen
There's
it,
the
but it
mystery
sounded reasonable.
spot in California. You guys ever visit that? It's not San Jose. Maybe it is San Jose, but it's the mystery spot. I wish Mrs. Scriptkeeper was in here. I could ask her about it. But basically, gravity act's kind of funny, and for some reason, and there's places all over the world that do that. And I wish I knew more about them. But I remember just seeing the demonstration. It could be the best little con job of all time or whatever. But I mean, they'd literally have a ball roll and put it up top, and you're looking at an incline or a decline, and you're like, well, that's for sure going to roll down, and then it'd rolls
up the hill.
Yeah, up and weird. And there's places
That's,
where you could.
that's because the Freemasons summoned Baphomet there one time.
It's because it's the entrance to Agartha and the Hollow Earth and Baphomet.
I don't know where my sister and her family went. Somewhere in Europe. They went somewhere in Europe. I don't know where it was, but there's a whole town that's designed like that, where it looks like you're intentionally built like that, so it looks like you're
that-
warped perspective.
That's part of
you're
what
going.
this is.
It looks like
Mystery
you're going uphill, but you're going downhill, or vice versa.
The
All
mystery
these
spots like
different
that
things.
has
Yeah.
like buildings and shit.
That's
We're
so
like,
cool.
what?
But they did it on
It makes
purpose.
it kind of sick too.
It's just math.
Remember?
Math
Yeah.
at its finest.
That's
really.
what I think it is more than anything.
I love that kind of shit. Like in art, the never-ending staircase,
Yeah.
and or
Frazzles my little
or like
stupid
that
noodle.
that famous
brain
painting
noodle.
where it's like staircases that are inverted and on their side and all coming back into each other. It's like, I love that shit. So anyway, I just love that shit. I like stuff that's like, it's supposed to be right, but it's wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mindfuck stuff is fun.
Yeah.
Math is awesome. Math is it's really just math and
Math
then illusion.
is a really cool thing.
It is. You should like math. I don't know what song you're
Extra
singing.
points to anybody who knows that movie reference.
Oh, what is it?
That's a movie reference.
Yep.
He has
probably
different
something
movie
I wouldn't
references, and you have different movie references than I do. That's what makes this show unique. That's what makes us different, and that's the only thing, really.
That's the only thing.
It's like,
Other
wow,
than that, carbon.
the cartoons that I watched when I was a kid, he thinks are stupid, and he definitely thinks yours are stupid.
Yep, for sure.
The cartoons that you watch when I like,
You
some
guys
of them, but I
like my
never-
cartoons though.
We do.
Yeah.
But I like his cartoons too. That's the thing. You just stopped liking all of our cartoons.
I just
'cause
like all
you're,
cartoons.
son of a-
Really, you're the problem here, Jeff.
I probably am. I am the common denominator in this.
What was your favorite cartoon growing up?
I like Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny.
Just Warner Brothers in general.
So vanilla, dude. Jeez.
No, dude. My favorite one is the rooster that goes into the hen house and he's like,
Well, I'll say-
"Ball, ball, ball, ball,
Oh,
ball, 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 ball,
Bing
ball, ball,
Crosby.
ball, 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 ball." And they all lay a bunch of eggs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I should be a singer.
It doesn't really work necessarily
out.
like that.
What do you mean? That's what happens when I do it.
I have a different effect, I guess. I don't
Where's
know.
Michelle?
Get it
We'll
back
ask
in here.
her.
Well, the thing
Prove
is joining a metal band means that you're singing to dudes.
True.
For all time.
Pretty much.
So.
With some exceptions, but yeah.
Yep.
that's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
much true.
And,
Yeah.
and those ladies are awesome, but it's a sausage fest.
Yep.
Yeah. So, anywho, that's war music.
Yeah.
That's music to go to war.
That's music for when you're marching to the back rooms. We're invading.
Only the brave shall do. All right.
Back on
Well,
the cartoons, Chicken Hawk was probably my favorite because he was a tenacious little fuck. It didn't matter how many times he failed; he just kept trying to.
oh, yeah. Chicken Hawk. No
Yeah, he was
shit.
great. He kept trying to get the rooster.
When I found out what a chicken hawk was, what it really is in life, I was like, oh, that's kind of a mean thing for him. It's a politician that sends kids to war that never went to war himself. Never heard of those.
Rude.
Very rude. All right, it's Reasonablist Party time. And I swear to God, I got to show you those logos before we leave. But we have, we don't know if these guys like them. And it's a democracy here as far as
likely
that.
story is about as much. I believe in the back rooms more than I believe in these logos at this point.
Two promises.
All right, I'm showing you before you leave. But I'm holding you to it. You got to hold me to it. All right. But now this one's a simple one. We'll do an easy one. It's Christmas time.
Give me a softball, would you?
Yeah, we need a softball. It's Christmas time in the city, and our government is in charge. And people want
Our government.
We'll call it that.
Our government of dismantling government.
we got to have something. We got a post office box somewhere.
Okay, our cool AI that we made is running things.
The new Federal Reserve, which is just a nice little robot. I think everybody's happy. Everything's smiling.
Okay.
But so now we've got Christmas and we've got our government buildings. We have to have
Christmas.
a few.
We're getting rid of Christmas.
Okay, well, that's kind of going. That's speaking to the point here. So instead of just asking, because separation of church and state, I believe, is going to be something that our Reasonablist Party would be interested in. It makes sense. Philosophically, it makes sense if you're going to share a country with people that have different beliefs to do that. But Christmas is a federal holiday, and so we've already kind of screwed the pooch on that, where we're like, separation between church and state, except for this thing, and Easter.
Except for Jesus.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about there even being federal holidays. Like, have a holiday, like if our society just decides to have it, but like, why is there like we demand that you all get the day off for this, even though anybody in retail is exempt for some reason.
Right.
Well,
or doctors and police officers.
At some point, there's going to be a holiday every day the way they're going now.
I'm okay
I didn't know there was a
Kinda
son's day
going
and a
that way.
daughter's day, or I didn't know. Don't celebrate law enforcement appreciation day. Fuck off, because you're lying anyway. Nobody appreciates law enforcement.
Hey, listen to me, Zach. Listen here, Zachary.
Right.
If every day is a holiday, no days are holidays.
Fine.
No.
I just want 5-6 day weekends is all for people.
Yeah,
I
we
just
can
want,
do that
I
without
think
every
people
day
work
being
really
a
hard.
holiday.
Fair enough. I'm just saying, if I'm shooting for the stars, and I'll take the mountains.
Look, Canada does a lot of things wrong, but one thing that they do very right, in my opinion, is they have mandatory one Monday a month, no matter what you do. Mandatory one Monday a month. You have to take it off.
I actually like that,
I like that too. Small businesses can plan ahead,
but
and do that shit.
not associated to any type of holiday.
Yeah,
It's
holidays
just-
are their own thing, but
So it's
there's one.
What do they call that when teachers have those work? I don't know. I think they call them conferences.
in-service day.
Yeah, like an in-service day or something like that.
Yeah.
Where they can just go get their shit squared away.
Well, I think they just work there. The teachers go work, I think, and then the kids aren't there except for them to
But
work.
they can get shit done because kids aren't around.
Yeah, but they're still working. Yeah.
There.
But you're right.
It's a day free of babysitting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's less work. It's less work. So.
Yeah.
Well, the reason to bring this up was just I want to see we know what the principle is of the Reasonablist Party, but we have Christmas. And so the principle of the United States is that, separation of church and state. There shouldn't be any federal holidays that are of any specific religion, but there are. So here we are. And that's what we would inherit as the Reasonablist Party. So I want to ask you guys, are these things okay in a government building that the Reasonablist Party is in charge of? Because, basically I'm basing this off of, people would say nativity scene. Okay, nativity scene. Is that allowed in the Reasonablist Party government buildings? Do you find that okay or no?
Well, if you're representing the government and the government says that there's a separation between church and state, on the principle of that, I would say no.
Okay. But we really like Christmas.
Do we? It costs a lot of goddamn money.
Have Christmas everywhere where there's not government being done. I don't know. Like, it's a hard thing to think about, even in conjecture, because separation of church and state has never been a thing in the United States since the beginning.
No.
Like, it was.
You can't take the church out of the man or
it
woman
was
either.
founded
very
with
difficult.
deeply ingrained Christian values
Yeah,
in it. And that's not to say that they're all bad either. Some of them I don't think belong in any regulatory body necessarily. Like, it's just like, okay. But if we're going to operate on the premise, of, okay, government serves a function, and that function isn't to service any dogma or any one specific set of beliefs, it's to try and cater as fairly as possible to anybody from any belief that isn't actively sacrificing children or some awful shit,
Right.
Then then no, I would say no. On that premise, I'd be like, no, I don't know that we need to have that in government buildings, because then not only is it being like, well, we're separating church and state, but we like Christmas, so Jesus is okay today.
Right.
But not
but-
Buddha.
Right. So it's gonna,
Or they're like,
okay
no, this isn't about Jesus. We just like Santa Claus.
That was my next question. Is Santa Claus okay?
No.
It's not. Santa Claus isn't okay. Okay.
I say Santa Claus is okay. Because Santa Claus isn't
I just
Jesus.
don't like Santa Claus.
Right, but fair enough. You're throwing a monkey wrench in this. But Santa Claus was a religious figure. It's Saint Nick, and it comes from kind of a. I mean, we did it on the Dipshit Files this week. It's kind of an old.
Okay, you're
interesting-
coming at me with fucking facts.
Well,
It's gonna fuck my
up,
fuck my
bitch.
shit up.
it's no longer a religious figure, but it was at one point. So it's like once removed from Jesus, or twice or three times removed from Jesus, kind of thing. So, but that's okay.
How does Santa Claus and Jesus mix?
We got to listen to Santa Claus Crime Fighter on SKATCAST every Tuesday, and you'll find out the war on heaven, the war on Christmas.
That is
it's all
the
same.
best song.
Thank you.
I'm like, I'm posting this just because the song is awesome. I don't know what it's about, but I love
Terrible
the
things.
song.
It's about
great.
terrible things.
And I figured I'd probably like it. So.
Well, there's a lot of old paganism woven into Christmas traditions as
huge,
well. You know, like
huge.
talking about Santa Claus, there's a whole lot of Odin woven in
Yeah.
there. You know, and
That's
it's
what I
like,
mean. It's a-
not to say that it's like, because like all the shit that we know about Norse mythology is a lot more recent than a lot of people like to make it out to be. It came from the writings of one dude, and that's not to say that it's not worth reading or enjoying, but it's like people get into these pointless battles of like, well, it was Odin first and then it was Santa and Jesus, and it's like, well, I don't know, was it though? And what does it matter? Like,
Right.
You know, what was there at the beginning of time? Nobody knows.
I only like holidays, religious or not, because I got paid double time.
Right. And a half. You and most other honest
I made
people.
lots of money on what we called holidays, and I didn't give a shit about them. So it was just like another day for me.
All right.
Speaking of when is Christmas? What
Sunday.
Christmas is on a Sunday, so Christmas is Eve is on a Saturday. So are we calling the 23rd or the 26th the holiday then? Because it's really not. It's not the day.
Right.
So do we have a federal paid holiday on either before or after?
It depends on
Or
what
does it just
company
go
you
away
work
this
for.
year?
It goes away this year.
In Washington State, employers are not forced to give you the holidays off. I learned that. Most do because they're not assholes.
Right.
But,
Right.
but I found out when I worked a job in the last several years where I didn't have certain holidays off. I was like, everybody gets this holiday off. What do you mean? Like they get a paid holiday off, and they're like, nope, you can take it off, but you're not getting paid. I was like, wow.
Thanks, guys. Well, margins. Not everybody knows. They don't all run on the same
Yep,
margins.
it's true.
So, but okay. So here's the game I wanted to play. In
You
my
thought
head,
this was going to be easy.
in my
didn't you?
head, I did. I thought this would be smooth. Yes or no. This is not.
Remember who you're talking to.
This is a ride. I should know that it's going to be a ride, and it's going to surprise me each time. All right. So we know nativity scene. No. Both of you guys. No. Bear Baw. No. Bee-Baw.
Yes, no. Yes,
or a
no.
Pooh-Bah?
No.
Okay. Santa Claus.
I'm down for Santa. Dude,
See. Okay.
lying to your kids to get them to go to bed for a little while, I get it.
But on a government
enough.
building.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay. Government building Santa Claus. Does that offend people because of its over religious non-separation of church and state?
I don't think it's offensive.
I think Santa Claus
I
is
don't
actually
really-
very anti-religion. I think it bastardizes the religion.
Right. It's very
itself.
American or very Western.
It does, and that's why I'm sitting at a soft no, because
Okay.
I find it kind of
It's a
distasteful
corporate
for other
religious,
reasons.
money.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fine. But that goes against the whole premise of this, and this is going to get weird now. Snowman at the Reasonablist
Snowman?
City Hall
Sure.
or
Sure.
White House. Okay.
That's
just
a winter
happy
thing.
winter time
that's
stuff.
winter time. That's
Okay.
not. That's not. I don't associate Frosty with Christmas. Just winter time in general.
Okay. Krampus.
What?
Krampus.
Fuck is that?
I knew you were going to lose Jeff on that one.
As a demon, it's a few removed from religion. Used to be pagan and Odin and all that kind of
I
stuff.
can't give an opinion because I don't know what the fuck it is.
It comes and puts children in bags if they've been naughty. It used to be like the yin and yang of Santa before.
It's like the chupacabra.
Instead of
Kinda.
delivering toys and coal, it delivers toys and then steals
Steals
children that
children, yeah.
misbehaved.
Another philosophy to scare the shit out of children.
Yep.
I kind of like it.
Okay,
But,
what?
I mean, federal Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so probably
that would be
not.
another no for me.
Shirtless, bloody Jesus nailed to a tree.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, none of that. Big tittied Krampus. No.
Want to see it, but no.
Again,
Just for the entertainment
don't know
value?
what a Krampus looks like, but now I want to know, and
Kind of
I
a-
want to see if the tits look good.
They wouldn't.
All right, let's do these quick. Reindeer, yes or no?
Yeah, I don't give a
Nah,
shit.
I mean, for the sake of consistency, I said no to Santa, so I guess reindeers are out too.
I just want to know if I can shoot him.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Fuck me. All right. Snowflakes.
Sure.
Yeah,
Happy
winter.
wintertime stuff.
Okay.
That's fine.
Candy canes.
They're
Ew.
good. I like,
Gross, but I'll allow it.
I like the fruit.
We'll
ones.
allow it. We finally got one from him. The fruity ones are the best. Cherry flavored. Fucking give me a berry.
Of all the flavors, you pick cherry.
That's the only ones I've Oh, Jesus. For all the ones that I pick, I'm trying to have empathy and just come camaraderie with this fucking
He's
guy.
not on your team, bro.
He's not. Merry Christmas signs. Signage on the building that says Merry Christmas.
Fuck.
Civilians.
You would have to include all the other 33 holidays that run in like 2 months or whatever that is.
Happy Merry Chris Kwanzaa, I think.
Right.
Merry
I'm
Christmas.
gonna land on no again.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
Yeah,
No to
I'm
Merry
gonna
For the
say-
sake
I'm gonna
of
say no.
consistency.
Bible reading.
No.
Elves.
No.
No elves.
Elves? I'm not anti-elf.
Okay,
No.
Jeff's getting the premise here.
I prefaced this with I don't like Christmas. What did you expect?
Mistletoe. This one's. What do you think about mistletoe being
I-
in
Inappropriate
building?
workplace conduct.
There you go. I felt that was going to happen. Jeff's all about it.
I'm like,
fuck yeah.
you know, yeah, that. It gives you an opportunity to violate policy
for that moment.
at that moment. You've got an out.
It's like everybody that knows that the
All right,
mistletoe's
well,
there.
I'll see you there, buddy.
You got
You
an out.
didn't accidentally stand under the
I will
mistletoe.
gag you with a tongue, buddy.
All right. Ugly sweaters.
I love them.
Okay.
Sure.
Ugly sweaters with Jesus on them.
No.
Ugly sweaters with Santa on them.
Depends on what the depiction of Jesus is.
Ugly sweaters with Sovereign and the nonprofits on it.
Absolutely.
There we go. All right. All right. What did you say the premise of it is? It depends on if it's titties out or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should make that. We should have ugly sovereign Christmas sweaters.
Fuck yeah. Next year.
That's a good idea.
We can't get it on this year. Let's see. Stockings.
They're socks.
Yeah. So fine. But they're,
with that.
they're part of the tradition. Secret Santa. Is Secret Santa okay in the government building for the Reasonablist Party? Can we have that event?
Somebody, you know what? Hot take: Secret Santa is a problem. Somebody always gets butt hurt,
They do. That's true.
and it affects workplace morale.
It does kind of go against what the idea of it is.
I like the idea of it.
I like white elephant
I've
stuff.
personally enjoyed. I've enjoyed Secret Santa stuff, but I've not enjoyed watching at least one other person react to their Secret Santa.
I like the fun of the game, and I don't
this
think
feels more like stalker shit.
Yeah.
I like the fun of the game, and I don't think that it directly represents Jesus. It's just there's more to Christmas than Jesus, in my opinion, where it is a time for just recognizing people, trying to be kind. So I think that if that promotes, if that would promote kindness, then
Yeah.
I'd be for that.
So you're for Secret Santa in the workplace under the Reasonablist Party?
Yeah, I'm more
In
for
the inner
I'm more for white elephant, but yeah, Secret Santa works.
Okay. What about Secret Jesus?
What is that?
Just giving people little Bible quotes and trying to convert them secretly?
No, that's not okay.
All right. I'm just trying to figure out Die Hard movie night.
I'm down.
You're okay with that for Christmas in the
I
Reasonablist
probably
Party
won't
building?
go,
Super
but
down.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, not a joiner, this guy.
Just kidding. I could watch Die Hard.
Ask me about Jesus or Keep the Christ in Christmas t-shirt in the Reasonablist Party building from an employee.
No, because that's like the same as like if you're there to do a job and you go into it knowing that we're separating like this is a system and you're servicing the system and that's what you're here to do. So like, activism and proselytizing, don't need it here. You're free to do it wherever, but as long as you're employed in doing this thing, it'd be the same as you showing up being like, free the teat, like I believe
Yeah.
boobs should be out. It's just like,
It
we
is.
already decided they're not, and
that
especially
sounds
not
like a good
here.
religion.
And you can talk about it off when you're off work. Like, don't do
this-
that.
This falls into just like the kneeling in football. That's fine. Have your opinion. the football field was not the place for it.
It's just like Best Buy. It's just like
Same
doing it at
kind
Best
of
Buy. But there is a big audience, and that's like taking advantage of a big audience. There's an argument there, but
You know,
you're exactly
in my profession, I didn't
principle-wise.
get to speak about politics at all.
right.
You know,
Well, I've heard
people
the-
would ask my opinion, and I'm like, well, you don't want it.
Yeah,
Trust
and
me.
I can't
But-
say it because I'll get fucking trouble.
I've heard the argument with the
One way or the
kneeling, the Colin Kaepernick thing. Heard the argument that it's like, well, he had this large platform and he worked for it, and so he decided to use it that way because that was his way of reaching that many people at once. And I was like, you know what? Okay, fine. But on the other side of that coin, like, yeah, that was his choice. He had he was free to do that. But he is also his employer is also free to enact consequences for that because he's technically there to do a job.
I honestly
I shouldn't
think
be
that
surprised about. No one should be surprised.
It's
about
like, yeah,
consequences.
he's free to do that, but like then to turn around and be victimized because there were consequences, it's like, but you chose to do that. Like you must have thought maybe it might go poorly, and you chose to do it.
that
anyway,
whole thing was
so.
that whole thing was cringy to me anyway, because I don't think it was genuine from him. I think it was his agent's like, yeah, your career's in the fucking tank. You need to do something to make yourself relevant. That's my opinion.
Shots fired from Jeff.
It's honest.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I might not be right, but
You know,
that's my opinion.
The sad
enough.
thing is, it could well be true. I mean, there's no evidence of that, but
And it worked, so it was a smart move for him.
Yeah. It
worked,
Good on him. He won.
Yeah.
So okay, I'll give it to you. I just don't think it was genuine.
yeah. Given the state of the world, if there were to be proof of that to come out tomorrow, I'd go, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend
exactly.
to be surprised. So
No,
anything's
genuine.
possible.
Everything seems contrived when it gets millions of eyeballs on it and stuff. Yeah, I agree. Very few. I mean, we have viral videos and things that are natural and organic, but most of the stuff feels very wag the dog in our world right now. We were talking before the show. It's like I consistently am just taking that tinfoil hat right off the shelf where it's like, well, okay.
Kind of keeping it in my back pocket at this
Fuck?
point.
I mean, yeah, it's not
I
for
just wanna have it
reptiles and
handy.
aliens and shit. It's like, but there's a lot of little things going on in our world where it's like the coincidences around this would be just ridiculous for me to believe this is, all just accidental. For some of this stuff, the way it's going down, it's
well,
like
the thing
hard
about
to
it
say.
is, I heard somebody say this recently, and I was like, yes, that's what I've been trying to say, less eloquently than that. But they said, if all the accidents in recent memory lean one direction and not one of them lean the other direction, how can they possibly all be accidents? And I was like,
I've heard that before too.
yeah, fair point.
Yeah, if it wasn't a conspiracy towards certain things or whatever, and conspiracy being a kind of a big word, yeah, eventually these accidental things would benefit the people. But you look at it over and over again, and what's happening? It's like the middle class of the United States consistently loses its value, its purchasing power, its home, like all of these things that are kind of going against it. Never once kind of going back
Rich
like,
people
oh,
are
we
like,
fixed it,
oops,
don't
we
worry.
accidentally made ourselves more rich again.
That's the one that
How does it always happen?
even
Crazy.
even libertarians and anarcho-capitalists are like, okay, the divide between the rich and the poor, that's too far in this country. Even though the poor in this country are richer than almost any human in the history of the world. We have to keep that in perspective, because that is what the United States and the Western world is doing. Is it's like we're suffering. I've been very poor, and I suffered with.
We're suffering at a very
Xbox
high level.
and I can go to a grocery store and have food from around the world for a couple bucks. I can still get enough calories to eat. That's not a kind of poor.
I'm living on the street, but I have a phone and a Netflix account.
Exactly.
and some change in my pocket.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And a free place to sleep if I wish.
But when people are looking at it like, I do have all those things, but I'll never own a house by doing the math. I'll never be able to. So many people are looking at it like that. But then you look at the top where you're like, well, Amazon is worth this many billions, and this one guy has a percentage of that because he founded it or whatever. And that's just such a ridiculous amount of money. And, when it becomes a certain level of inequality in income, no matter what economic policy you're looking at, especially communism, because they really don't like that. But even free market people are like, that's just something's going on. Something weird's there. And it's usually like, Is there some corruption going on in the government? Is there some winning and losing being chosen by politicians and business people in high positions? And my answer, put my tinfoil hat on, is like, that's what the lobby fucking does. That's the whole point of it, is to pick winners and losers using the government and the biggest companies that don't want competition. Like, that's what the government does, is it murders competition. It raises the bar so high. So good luck starting your own insurance company. Good luck starting doctors are probably have a hard time starting their own doctor practices.
Let's start our own bank, boys.
Oh, you want to get killed? Well, now and Shaiden's lifespan has decreased by 50%. Let's bring back the greenbacks, boys.
Got to die of something. Might as well be political assassination.
Back to Jesus Cristo. Sorry.
So what you're saying, Zach, is no opinions on T-shirts in the government building? Is that what you're talking about?
I guess I'm asking you guys. And then my last one was, can you pray to Mecca 5 times a day in the government building? That's a curveball.
I say no too.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
Personally, all right.
Yeah. No.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can go outside and do it, kind of thing, or whatever.
Well, so
Is that what you're
here's the thing. If you're making a spectacle of it, then A, I think you're not doing it for the right reasons, and B, that's when it becomes a problem. If you are doing it on your own time and you've found a private place to do this thing that means a lot to you, I don't care.
But
I think the spectacle of it is important, though, because it's meant to be like, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing, kind of thing. So because that's why they do it publicly, I believe. But I don't know enough about Islam to speak, but I have studied a lot, but there's so much, and it's
well, and that's the thing,
it's just a time and place thing. I mean, if you want to make a spectacle of it, go on your lunch break and go out in the town square and do it. That's fine.
But it is a secular government thing, so it's you're right, I think.
But I don't agree with Christian prayer time at work either.
Right,
it's not the place for it. I mean,
it's exactly the same.
But of course, there's the I guess you can pray in your head. It doesn't require mats and
it's when it
facing
becomes
certain ways in certain times.
Right.
Yeah, I guess you're right. When it's a spectacle, if
Right,
you
and
can
that's
figure
what
out a
we're
way to
talking
do
about
it where you
Christmas
can
and-
still be effective at work, it's not affecting your performance, then I guess it's okay. But it's like, I don't know. I would never hire a smoker for any business that I have.
Right.
Because of laws that you can't smoke inside or anything. Smokers waste a lot of goddamn time. At least 8 minutes an hour.
Well, everybody gets a 10-minute break, bro.
Not every hour.
But smokers can't take their, just because you smoke doesn't mean you get extra breaks, does it?
Well,
they'll try and get them.
Well, that's what I would do.
It's amazing
for sure.
how much a smoker has to shit.
Yeah, I've had several smokers.
I know, but they
work
go
for me.
outside, because
shit
it's going
outside?
to take longer than 2 minutes. They need to go have a smoke, so I got to go.
How dare you? You can't. A lot of jobs you don't work the whole time. In retail business, sometimes there's not customers in there, and sometimes you've damn near dusted everything in the building.
You're trying to protect smokers because
I
you're a
am.
smoker. It's not going to work.
Because people work hard. As a capitalist, I want people to work less hard in this country.
When I had to run a shuttle crew, I had a bunch of retired people, semi-retired people working for me, and it was a logistics job. And so it really mattered that things happen when I said they happened, because they were connected to 10 other things that had to happen in a certain order. And consistently, the dudes that were smoking were showing up late, fucking up the plan, making me having to reorganize everything. And I'm like, what took you so long? And they were like, I just ran into traffic. I'm like, no, you fucking did not.
You did not want to put that smoke out.
So it depends on the job. It would be I land between the two of you. It depends on the job. If it's a job that's not super demanding and you can get away with some extra breaks without it affecting the business, I don't care.
Fair. I don't want a
Switch to
business
chewing.
hire
it
you.
doesn't affect your work. You still get nicotine. You'd be good to go.
But you're
How about
gross.
toothpicks?
Toothpicks, indeed. Yeah, throw them down if they ever come back. If they can be legal again. If I was the Reasonablist Party, I would have it legal
I
right
have
now.
an aunt in England, so she can buy them from America and ship them to me.
Oh, fuck yeah. I'm going to try some other picks that aren't illegal right now and try that. But that's great. I'm going to run it through you.
Honestly, my dad came up with this idea yesterday. I just stole it, but hey,
Let's see if it
he'll
works.
make an order.
If you go to prison, then I won't do it. But if you don't,
Why would I go to?
I don't know, because the government's stupid, man.
The
They might
government is
decide
stupid.
they want to know about $600 between transactions with normal people, and I think there's maybe $5-10 trillion just missing from the fucking naval budget from a few years ago, 10 years ago, or some shit. It's like $4 trillion and my $600. Give me that's great. Priorities government. Thank you. Anyway, sorry. Libertarian talking points for y'all.
So here's my final stance on everything that you just asked, on all those points about what should be allowed and shouldn't be allowed in the government.
You don't like Christmas, we get it. Bah, fuck it.
In my heart, I don't give a shit.
You don't have a heart. You're anti-Christmas.
That's
Bah,
true.
humfuck.
That's true. In the crater where my heart used to be, or there's little tendrils of smoke still leaking out occasionally, I don't really care. Like, me as a person, I'm just like, if I'm not running the government, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't
decorate
care.
it how you want.
Seriously.
But if I was put into a position where I had to set policy for the building and I was trying to make it fair and equitable, then my answers would be where I landed on it.
How about this? One last thing. So now we got the federal government we're talking about. Now let's say Reasonablist Party's doing stuff in little local governments, and
Then we've overreached our bounds at that point.
Yeah.
So we're not doing that.
Well, but they run as far as they'll run as a Reasonablist Party person for their local government stuff. So let's say that they're running it as a
Smaller
Reasonablist.
forms of government.
Right. But let's say they live in a very Christian city. The entire city is Christian. There's 12 churches, but there's only 3,000 people who live in the. You know what I mean? So,
well, by nature of the thing, if it's smaller forms of government and the bigger form of government isn't going to say, hey, you have to do it our way, then it's
that's up to that community,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Okay. So that's a Reasonablist Party.
A voted on thing, correct?
Could it be voted on? It could be.
Could be.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be, though.
I think everything could essentially be voted
Well,
on.
the government itself is supposed to represent the community that it serves, right?
Correct.
That's the idea.
Correct.
So if the government is representing a Christian community or a Muslim community
Or any other community, absolutely.
community, yeah, then it should be. Then there should be those symbols in the government building if they want to for their holidays, I guess.
From that perspective, I would agree with that too.
But then I guess.
But somebody's always going to be butthurt.
Yeah, somebody's going to come to town that's like, holy shit, Christmas in Jesusville. What's going on? I don't
just
know
like
why I
as
feel
a parent, you know, you try to do nice things for your kids, and give them a video game, and they start fighting over it. What do? You're just like, fuck you. I'm taking it back. You don't get it. You can't handle it. You can't handle the fun. You can't handle the enjoyment. So nobody gets to enjoy it anymore. And that's kind of parenting to the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it is. Every time I look
We're screwed.
Every time I look at this kind of model, I do kind of get this knee jerk, like, that's pie in the sky reaction in my gut, because it's just like, it sounds great to have these pockets of communities that all have decided, we want to do things this way and this is how we do it here, and like, oh well, I don't know, I want to go to this community because they do things more the way I like it, and yeah, everybody's good.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna become Nineveh at some point to make a Bible parable out of it, but it's just like there's gonna be two communities that are too close to each other, that are too diametrically opposed to one another, and shit's gonna go down.
Here's the reality.
Yeah.
As much as in this country we talk about anti-segregation, we as animals like our segregation because we want to be around like people. And if people
tribal.
aren't like us,
Oh man.
then we don't
Very
want to be
true.
around them.
Yeah.
And it can be any facet of life. That's
Right.
really at the core of what we are as animals. I think that there's a lot of truth to that. We can teach ourselves differently, but I think that with inside of us, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
But I think isn't that kind of the core tenet of having a society?
Yeah, it's breaking away from that tribalism the best we can.
Taking people that naturally desire segregation for whatever tribal reason is ingrained in them, and devising a way that best suits the largest number of people so that they can be together without having to just exist
It's a good
separately.
idea. I
And
don't
still
think
keeping
it
the
works.
tribe together, I think, is the thing. It's like you can have your tribe that you're part of. That's just instinctual human stuff that if we kill, how do you break that?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do that.
You won't ever, I don't
But
think.
to be able to cooperate, because think about all the things that separate us. Like languages separate us. Obviously, skin color and race and culture and
Religion.
and these things. And it's like that's not going to stop. Like if you can't speak the same language as someone that's your neighbor, you're not going to talk to that neighbor very much. It's just not going to happen. You can still have a relationship that on some level, but I'm not sure where my brain is going with that. But
The problem always ends up being is there are just certain deeply held beliefs by different groups that are just they're oil and water. They cannot
they have
coexist.
deal breakers.
And here's
They
the
just
thing.
cannot
Yeah.
coexist.
The biggest thing that we have to acknowledge is that it's not wrong for groups to think a certain way. It's just not.
Right.
I may not agree with it, but it's okay
They're
for
going to
them.
want to survive. Like the number one priority for this here tribe should be their survival and the reproduction of that tribe for the future. Like that's makes sense. And being mad at them for that,
But pretending
people-
that's
but going over certain lines. It's like society
it still
comes up and
depends
says,
because I guarantee that the CCP wants to survive,
yeah.
but I don't believe that it should.
Well,
not in its current form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Well-
I mean, if the tenants of your tribe are, let's weld people into their houses and not
Yeah.
rescue them when they catch fire, and let's hunt them down for making the wrong post on the internet. Like, sorry,
problem.
your tribe is crossing lines that the humanitarian in me finds unacceptable.
and
So,
that's, I guess, what society is. It's like you can be you as long as you don't do this here. Or, I mean, I don't know, I guess really anywhere on the earth. We're
Right.
like, don't do these things on the earth.
Yeah, and then it becomes a weird matter of jurisdiction, right? 'Cause it's
Yeah,
just like,
that's
hey,
just forcing shit.
like that's their playpen. So like, what does it matter to me? But then I've had friends that have immigrated from China, and I came to really care about them, and I'm like, holy shit! Like now I feel like I have a vested interest. Like you had to live through that.
Yeah.
Nobody should have to live through that.
Exactly.
It's like,
or in this country, the FLDS. What do you do there? Or it's the fundamental Mormon, where there was some real fucked up shit, but it was private property, and
there
everybody was
continues
somewhat.
to be some fucked up shit in that arena.
When it has to do with kids,
Yeah.
all that shit and non-consent and all that kind of stuff. It's like, well, that's where
our
society
country
says your
tries to
tribe's fucking up.
Our country tries to protect our children. Other countries don't.
That's
necessarily.
true. That's true. But they should know better in this one, because all the FLDS is surrounded by thousands and millions of square miles of everyone else. Is like, no, you do. You do not do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But fair enough. Weird ass planet we live on. That's enough Reasonablist
Tough
Party.
ball of yarn, let me tell you.
It is. Little blue dot in space.
We got further from solving it today. Good job, boys.
I think we definitely distance ourselves there. Advice I give myself. This one's kind of a combined effort, but Jeff brought this one to us, and this one is basically comes down to all life is a gamble. Sweet God, what do you got over
Good
there?
Lord.
Squeaky. But life is a gamble.
It is. We always talk about.
Every decision is a gamble.
Yeah, we
almost.
talk about making good decisions. Make good decisions. Well, the reality is, it doesn't matter what decision we make. We try to weigh out options and make the best decision that we can, generally, right? But we don't know the outcome of that decision that we make.
Maybe ever, but most of the time, yeah.
A good
Till
decision
later.
for me might affect somebody else negatively. So is it a good decision or is it a bad decision? It's a good decision for me. Decisions are outcome based, and then we can tag it with a good decision or a bad decision. If you go to start a business, seems like a good decision. If it fails, you made a really bad decision. But
Exactly.
did you know you just made a decision and there's going to be a reward or a consequence at the end of that?
Right. Leaving your house today is a gamble on some level.
Right.
And everything
And
is a
again,
gamble.
I might make a decision in my life. Yeah, it's good for me. It's going to affect you negatively because you're no longer going to benefit from A, B, C, whatever. But I'm going to because I have to look out for myself.
And it might only be good in some aspects. It might also be bad. In the long run, maybe it was a bad decision, but in the short term, maybe it was super fun.
Right.
That's
I've
what-
made a lot of bad decisions that taught me a lot of really good lessons.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I didn't know if it was a good decision or a bad decision until there was an outcome. So the best that you can do is weigh your options and pick a direction. And it might turn out good, it might turn out bad. But go with it and learn from whatever it is and go with it and understand that.
until it proves itself to be untenable.
Right.
Yeah. I think I want to highlight what you said when you said weigh your options and then pick a direction and go for it. I don't think you should be in the business of just blindly making decisions for the sake of not being indecisive. Like you should always, you can look at a decision and go, I wonder what the consequences of this could be. You won't know for sure, but there are definitely times where you can go, if I do this, then this could happen. This good could happen. Risk reward analysis. Maybe I won't do it. Maybe I will do it.
Reasonable expectations.
I
Good to have.
don't think you should go into it blind, but you can't get stuck in that point to where it paralyzes you and you don't make decisions.
Right. I mean,
Paralysis by analysis kind of thing.
I look at my profession. I had to make split-second decisions all the time to the point I'll bring up my shooting. Good decision for me. I lived.
Right.
Not a good decision for him.
Yeah.
He didn't. Ultimately, but there was a lot to go through. At that time, there could still be a lot of negative effect for me. As it turned out, I was okay through it.
Right.
But other people could look at my decision and really tear me apart and ultimately put me in prison for it.
I don't know how they could have, though, because it was so obvious.
No,
that he
it was an obvious
murder all of you guys.
Yeah, that was an obvious deal. But a lot of these things that are coming up now, it's like, to me, I'm like, well, that's pretty obvious. But society's like, well, no, it's not because of this. You don't know.
There will be times where you have to make decisions like that, where you're given next to no opportunity to weigh the pros and cons. You just have to go for it. And I think the only way that I've come up with to be able to handle those better in the moment is to spend time before you ever get into situations like that playing hypothetical games with yourself, and like, okay, if I found myself in this situation, how would I handle it, and then what would happen as a result, and then how would I handle that? I do that shit all the time.
Well, that's why I walk into a room and I figure out how to kill everybody in the room.
Well,
Can't wait for the first Jar Live. Come visit us. Jeff will have your way to die described to you in a little piece of paper under your chair.
but I mean, I get what you're saying, and I think it's prudent. You know, I mean, like good, bad, or indifferent. If you can look at things, and you can do it retroactively too. I've been in the situation where I didn't handle it the way that I wished I would have handled it, and instead of going, fuck, I should have done better, I'll go, okay, so how could I do that better if I ever encounter something like that again, and how will I recognize that that's what's happening in the moment? And that's not to say that if you do that enough, then every snap decision you make will be good, because it won't. You will fuck up, and you will have consequences to deal with, and that's just the way it is. But I think you'll be better prepared.
How many times in your life you're like, well, at the time it seemed like a good idea.
Yeah.
It seemed reasonable. When I did it, it seemed reasonable. Hindsight with the conclusion, okay, I fucked up.
When I hit my late 20s is when I realized that the brain had prefrontal lobes, and that adrenal glands would always be like overpowering them until about 30. And it was like, so all the decisions before 30 seemed like, why did I do that? Why did I put people through that, or myself through that? I don't know.
And this is why when you live your life, understand you're going to be a villain in somebody's story. You're going to be all right. It's okay.
That's hard for a lot of people.
You
man.
made some decisions that maybe benefited you, and it didn't benefit them. It's still okay.
It is okay, but it is hard for people to reconcile that, because there's so many people I've met in my life, myself included, where it's like, I don't want to disappoint people that care about me, and I don't want to hurt people that I know or don't know, and I don't want to be the bad guy to anybody if I can help it.
I think if you're not the bad guy in somebody's story, you're not living your life
exactly.
right.
I agree with that,
I agree.
100%. Like, if you're not making enemies, you're not saying anything of value.
You're not being honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's still a fight, because as a kid, you're like, you got to get along. You want to be the kid that gets all of the Valentines, and you want to give all the Valentines. You don't want to skip the kid that everybody skips, and you want to be that kind of person. And the world's like, if you're that way, you can do that, but you're gonna suffer. You're gonna have a lot of hard days. Why are people getting along? You're not paying attention to the advertising. It's not about that here. We're about fucking shit up, so you better get fucking shit up. I see that all the time when I'm flipping through the political stuff, where it's like, why won't people just hug? And it's like, because we're not
designed to do that.
I don't know. Your friend group sounds lovely.
We
But
came
my
up with
friend group, we're pretty good too, but we don't always hug.
we came up with society. Society is just an idea. We're really just animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got too many of us. We got to figure it out. We're doing our best. It's not working out very well.
It's not our best. Maybe it's not the best. It does seem circling the drainish as of now.
Some are doing their best.
Yes, yeah, fair. Some of them are doing their best to be total cunts. To the
I
rest
can
of
try
us.
my best and still piss a lot of people off. I'm comfortable with that. There was a time in my life where I wasn't. Super comfortable with that.
Dan, working for Dan and doing the Secret Suck is kind of what got me over, where it's like, fuck, I'm going to say things and people are going to be... I mean, I did radio, but I didn't know that people didn't like what I had to say. I was so young and naive. I got a phone call from somebody, live on the air, and they're like, you're a fucking idiot. The shit you're saying is so fucking... and I learned the word credulous from these people, and I'm like, oh... Really?
I'm credulous.
I was doing. I'd love to tell you that I'm not, but I don't know what that is. All these things. And blah blah blah.
That's good. Good little humbling experience.
It is. It's valuable. We learn through pain, don't we?
Yeah, I think when you're making decisions, and you make a decision that makes you a villain in somebody else's story, as long as your reasons for doing what you're doing are honorable, then I think it's perfectly okay to become the villain in somebody else's story. It'll never be a comfortable thing for you to do. It's always going to kind of suck on some level. It's going to be like, look, I didn't want to have to be the bad guy in your world, but if I have to be the bad guy in your world to get where I'm trying to get to, or do this thing that I feel that I need to do for these reasons, then I guess I'll live with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But then you got to live with it. So,
But the more comfortable you get with that, I think the better human being you
I
become.
think
It
so
is
too.
weird when you start to get dozens of emails where you're like, oh shit, and then hundred, blah blah blah, and
Well,
they're not always agreeing with you, kind of
I
thing.
think the more, and I mean, you
I'm
should
happy-
always
I'm
examine
happy for
yourself. Like maybe your reasons weren't so honorable if you're getting angry mobs with pitchforks outside your house, but barring that,
It's only happened like 3 times.
I was in the first one.
That's how you met. It was a lovely day.
It was love at first sight, let me tell you. Torchlight really struck a strong profile. But I think barring that, the more times you go through that and you do learn to just accept it as part of reality, you become a better person because you understand the gravity of becoming a villain in somebody else's story. It's like, yeah, I'll never take that lightly because I know what it entails because I've done it, but I also know when it is and isn't necessary and when I'm willing to do that. So it's worth doing because you gain a lot of perspective and it makes
Yes.
you a little more cautious about doing it in the future, I think, too.
I would agree.
Yeah. Every time you make, back to the gamble thing. Every time you make a gamble, you get some sort of information back. Useful, always useful.
Unless it's the digital slots at the casino. There's no useful information there.
Well, the useful information is the first time where you're like, oh fuck, it just wants my money and it's set up to beat me.
If you
Gotta
catch
go.
on to the fact that it's just taking your money, you've won.
You won. Yeah, you learned your lesson and you no longer have to keep participating in that.
Shit is rigged.
Yes,
Gets it.
that's why the
There you
building is so
go.
beautiful, huh? That's why they're bringing in these bands you like for cheap. Come on. All right, we are moving on to fuck this, or actually, this is going to be yes this. I think.
Yay this. Is this our
Yay
first
this.
yay this?
I think.
We
so.
talked about doing a yay this, but I don't remember one that we've actually done.
I don't think we have done a yay this. We're very cynical.
I don't think we've all 3 agreed on a yay.
Okay,
That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for
probably
sure.
more.
This one, I
accurate.
think we will. This, Jeff. This is the Teeds.
Oh,
This one's pretty simple, but
is.
yay this to the.
this was just a funny little thing that I heard. The person I heard it from seems to be a reputable human being, and it made me laugh probably more than it should have. But there's a family with the last name of Teed, T-E-E-D,
Okay.
and they must not like children very much. But they had 2 of them, and they named their sons Warren and Garen.
That's
warranted and guaranteed.
That's a commitment to a joke that
I
lasts a
think,
whole lifetime. That's
I
good.
think one's future seems significantly brighter by default than the other.
Well, a friend of mine, his last name is Wang. He named his first son after both grandfathers, Maximus Harry. So his name is Max Harry Wang.
wow.
he is a funny dude.
He had a daughter.
Hey, you
her name
have
is
to develop a sense of humor with a name like that, or else you're done for.
He had a daughter.
Yeah. We
Her
moved
name
to
is
a-
Anita.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. I love him.
He's a very funny man.
He wants his children to be tough.
They will indeed be tough. It's like playground tough.
I handle, as you two know, I don't think I've ever talked about it on the show, but I handle videotape depositions for court cases for my day job, and I see some really funny names roll through of witnesses, and this last week, I think, will stick with me probably forever because I made fun of it in my head for about 3 hours after I read it. But this guy's name is Peter Feely. And I was like, oh, come on, baby, let me give you the old Peter Feely.
I worked
That's $5 extra for some Peter Feely.
I worked with a Richard Drips. I liked that one. And then
Drips.
one of my buddies was in Richard Johnson,
Oh, that's just perfect. Dick.
known as Dick Dick.
Yeah. Good
old Dick
Dick
Dick.
Squared is what it started out.
That's good.
Dick Dick.
That's good stuff. Dick. Old Dick.
He loves it. Let me tell you.
Well, you are what you eat, Dick. Oof. One more. Since we did that's a very good yay this thing. The Teeds, congratulations. If you have the last name Teeds, you should think about Warren. And
Yeah,
Karen.
if anything ever goes wrong with Warren, you can just return him. So.
Exactly. And for guaranteed, I wonder if you'd want to throw a middle name like F. Fucking, could you name your kid fucking?
Garen fucking T.
Garen fucking T. I mean, it's
With
the
a
only
PH.
time I
With a PH.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
classy, so he could get into
If
Harvard.
anybody sees me on, I use the PH all the time.
Yeah.
It was really for my for my unfuck yourself stuff.
Right.
I thought PH was cute.
It is more classy. But there's a fuck this thing, World Economic Forum. Okay, moving on. Things,
Enough said.
Yeah, things I learned. This one's going to be interesting, and this is the last thing of the day until we read. I think we're going to read a note or two.
It's got to be Shaiden. He's the only one learning things today.
Well, he's got
Learning
two
shit.
things.
I'm learning shit.
This one is going to be, oh man, we got two for sure. Dunning-Kruger is the one that we're going to talk about
Yeah.
first.
So the Dunning-Kruger.
But then we're
effect.
going to talk about the lady that got stabbed. And
Oh, I forgot
yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
And
yeah.
then
We'll
got-
save that for last.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
a good. That's a good ender. So the Dunning-Kruger effect is. I was digging into it, and it's something that like I've known these principles, but I didn't realize there was like a name for it and like a whole school of psychology behind it and studies that have been done. So it was kind of cool to actually dig into the data of it. But the quote that kind of sent me down this rabbit hole was by Bertrand Russell. And he said once, the whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are always so certain of themselves, and wiser people are so full of doubts.
Yep.
So
We're too stupid to know how stupid we are is how I look at the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Right.
And it's just something that all of us have, but some of us are soft to the idea where it's like, I'm probably wrong.
yeah.
Because-
So to explain it, to set terms before we dive too much into it for anybody who isn't familiar,
Yeah.
the Dunning-Kruger effect is essentially the name for the more you learn, the less you know.
And it was invented
and-
by Freddy Krueger.
Yes.
It was discovered in a nightmare.
Yes, absolutely.
Dunning's nightmare. That's how.
Come here, little Dunning.
Sorry, I ruined the.
So that's why we keep you around, Zach.
They'll remember it better this
Levity,
way.
baby, levity. So there's this kind of T chart with the Dunning-Kruger effect, and if you start in the top left, if you just draw like a single tic-tac-toe quadrant, just vertical, horizontal line, upper left quadrant is called known. Upper right quadrant is known unknown, and then lower left is unknown known. And then lower
Unknown,
right is
unknown.
unknown,
Yeah.
right? So that is to say that you start as an amateur in the upper left quadrant in known, because you learn just enough about something to feel like, I know what this is about. And that's the last time you are ever that certain of yourself in that subject, because they call it the horizon of knowledge. Your horizon of knowledge is completely filled by what you know, and that's it.
I'm picturing like, oh yeah, I know. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep, you're
Makes
onto
sense.
it. Right. So known, unknown is things that you know, but they've become so rote or so internalized that you've forgot that you know them. Right. So you're like, oh, well, I've been playing basketball long enough that I don't need to really think about what my elbow's doing when I shoot a free throw. It
You
just
should though.
I just
It should be right in. I mean, you'll know if it's off. You'll know what your elbow's doing.
but like reference Michael Jordan's famous clip of him just shooting the free throw with his eyes closed, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you've done it so many times. It's like, I know that I know this, but I don't really consciously have to think about it too much. And then unknown known is so you've learned so much that I'm fucking this
you can
part
see
up.
where you can see that there's a bunch of things that we don't know.
Right,
You know
yeah,
enough
yeah.
to know that there's a fuckload of vast
Right.
information you don't
Right.
know. Yeah, like space. Like the astrophysicists are like, well, we know a lot about space to know that we know about 1% of or 10%.
Yeah. And then
I hope
once
that's
you're an expert, you get into unknown, where it's just like
We don't know what we don't know.
I've just assumed that I know nothing about anything because I've been shown time and time again that the things I thought I knew I was not correct about.
Every time I think I'm right, I have an experience that shows that it wasn't right in that situation at the very least.
Exactly. So all that is to say, only amateurs are sure of themselves because they don't know what they don't know yet.
Yes.
right?
Is there a test we can take to figure out where we're at? I guess not.
No.
Because there's too much
single-
information, right?
Yeah.
So
every single part of it.
that's the bitch about the Dunning-Kruger effect, because you'd think that knowing about it would make you less susceptible to it, but it's studies show
you can only be soft to it.
It does not.
You can only be like, well, am I? You can catch yourself afterwards, like, oh fuck, I'm very strident about that.
If you're being honest with yourself, if you're listening to us talk about this for the first time, and as we started to go through the chart, and you were like, oh fuck yeah, I know about this. Sorry, dude, you just did it. Like you just got Dunning-Kruger.
Exactly. I know what Dunning-Kruger is, and then you did not.
Just the idea of knowing that we all have so many blind spots, even in the things that we know and we believe, you have to be wrong. Like through life, you can be like, okay, if I do this generally works for me for now, but that might not be true 10 years from now. Because your life has changed, your dynamic has changed, so you have to relearn it again. So you really just don't know, or you think that, again, the blind spots. Well, I'm so sure about this, but you haven't thought about it from a different perspective to where your thought is actually wrong.
Right.
So I feel like you. I'm like, I think I know, but I probably don't.
I assume that if I'm certain of something, I question myself immediately. Like, I mean, for the last 20 years, I've studied certain things, but the world doesn't agree with it all the time. You know what I mean? Like, economics is this thing where it's kind of up in the air. It's very politicized, and it's based on who's in charge of the government and the money as much as they can and stuff. And it's like, I keep thinking like, I know this really well, and then I hear people talking. I'm like, but they must know something that I don't, because I must have overlooked something, or maybe my brain isn't smart enough to understand the concept.
Unless they're an amateur and they're just way more sure of themselves and
they
don't know
present
enough
themselves
yet.
very, very non-amateurish, and it makes me I question myself.
Right.
But I find myself, whenever I do that, I end up digging into stuff that I maybe disagree with, and trying to find things that I'd never heard before, and I generally find something that I'd never heard before, and whether I agree with it or not, it was valuable bits of information to grapple with. So it's like, it's worth it to be skeptical of what you think you know. Yeah.
I think a really good main takeaway from this whole principle is that humility has great utility.
Yeah.
You know, it's if like you said, if you're ever feeling certain of yourself, that's about the time you should start questioning yourself. Because
also when you're around
everything that's like another, I would add this to your list of uncomfortable truths about lives, as I feel that strongly about it, but everything that you know now will one day be proven wrong.
I would agree with that.
Everything.
Yeah.
If you think about it, and that sucks to think about, because it's if you're being honest, it's kind of anxiety inducing, because it's like, great, so I can't know anything. Like, I can't ever have solidarity in my knowledge on a thing. And like, I think that's why people lean so hard into their chosen belief systems a lot of the time, is because belief by definition soothes that anxiety. But belief is also kind of antithetical to that sort of humility that you have to maintain in order to keep learning. But it sucks too, because the more you learn, the less secure you become in anything, and it's like you just kind of realize that you're adrift in a vast sea of consciousness, and like you're just sort of grabbing whatever you can cobble together to float on your way through.
Well, we're literally sitting in the tool that I use to keep myself from going crazy. Like, I picture this life as a ride, and it's like, as soon as I think I'm fucking in charge, it's like, I didn't lay the track.
Right.
I have no idea who put the wheels on this fucking cart, but I am on it, and so that's it. I am there. I think, therefore I am, and that's all I can prove. And fuck.
Would it be fair to say
it's just a ride? Let go of the bar.
Right, exactly. Would it be fair to say that, in general, the biggest thing people are seeking in life is learning about themselves, trying to figure out who they are, what they believe in, why they exist,
where they fit in,
where they fit, all the things, and we can't even. We die doing that.
Not knowing the answer.
We never know. We never know.
Do your best.
That's
to support
because
what you're
a
saying.
Superior alien race altered the human DNA and capped
1 0 1
it,
0
so we
1 1
only
0
live
0
100
1.
years instead of 1,000 like we're supposed to.
And here I am telling you to fuck off, and you know what? You might be right. I don't know.
Exactly. When we think about it, like when you said that, like everything that we know is right or is wrong. It's like, even healthy stuff, like where people are working out and we have the best science and best medicine and stuff, but we only live till we're 100. In the future, there may be humans that extend that to 200-300 naturally of some
I hate
kind.
to tell you this,
People
but
were
midlife is
super-
36.
I know, right?
People were super sure not too long ago that putting leeches on you to get out the bad blood was very good medical practice.
Yep, and bleeding out.
Go get a shave and
and
a
now-
little bloodletting.
Yeah. And now we fucking
Do some
laugh at
cocaine
that.
about
We
it.
find that laughable, but it's like, guys, that's not like that was thousands of years ago.
No.
It was very
That was
recently.
Yeah, that was Civil War, and not even
few
after
generations.
that,
Yeah,
Really.
you know, so just everything that you know to be right is only right now.
Right. Yep. We do like to think, and I like to think this too, like modern technology, because we use science now, because science has been the main tool of the mainstream and of, I don't know what the term is, but the elites or whatever. Science is better than what they did in the past. Not to say that people didn't do science. They were curious and they did experiments and stuff, but the scientific method is pretty, I think it's like 400 years.
Right.
So we're doing great when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to, and we haven't burned down our Library of Alexandria or any of those things yet. So we have all of our
coming,
information. So
I'm
we're
sure.
standing on the shoulders of giants still.
Yeah.
It's once we
It's
kill
coming.
all our giants that we won't have anything.
I hate to break it to you, Zach, but the library did burn down a long time ago.
Yeah, well,
Alexandria, not there anymore.
well, that one's gone. Yes, you're right, and that's a big part of the puzzle where we're like, what do we know about ourselves? What I find is I bet we're asking the wrong questions. Even
I'm sure.
that's how the Dunning-Kruger
That's
is. To
usually
me.
How do you write
goes,
the
like-
yeah.
how do you,
why
how
are
do
you
you even
here?
ask the right question?
I know. Well, that's when it gets all just crazy and into the weird. But it's I don't know. I was going to go down a whole nother rabbit hole.
Well, we could,
but
but it goes deep. I know.
That's an interesting rabbit hole.
Yeah,
It is.
We should revisit this, I think, and it's kind of. I wanted to talk about it because it seems so closely tied to kind of our core tenet of this whole show. You know, like it's like you said, it ties right into how do you soothe that anxiety of going out into the unknown, outside of just like inherited belief systems and still maintain your sanity, and a lot of people fucking don't.
I don't know if you live a life. Like, I feel like most people are sane some days and insane or some years, or so, you know what I mean? Like,
Was it Jim Carrey in one of his comedy bits years ago? He said everybody's just one intrusive thought away from being a maniac. He was like, you'd just be, shaving in the mirror and you're like, I wonder what would happen if I run this razor across my tongue. And he's like, you're just one move away from being sane to being, That's so true. And I'm like, fuck, it's funny, but it's also right.
so everyone's doing a great job. If you haven't done that today, you're doing a great job.
You won.
On that level, you
won
ass.
at least on that level. How am I doing today, Gary Busey? You're doing great.
That poor man. Just did it to
Gary
himself.
alone.
I
He
think.
did.
But
Leave
my
Gary
God.
alone.
I'm sure he's a glorious grandpa. I bet he's a lovely fucking
sure he's a good
uncle
time.
and shit. Yeah.
I want to drink with it.
No shit, right? All right, we have one last piece that Shaden's going to share with us. Things that Shaden learned.
Oh my God.
And this is you're going to want to double check this, triple check
Please.
this, and fact check it in all your favorite sources.
This is not a new thing either. I ran across this years ago, and it just kind of it resurfaces every so often, and tons of people are just like, myself included, when I first ran across it, they're like, this is an urban legend, or like, this is not even real, it couldn't possibly be. But I'll let you decide. You go look it up. But
Is this possible, doctors? If whatever doctors are listening, we need
so here's what happens. It's a girl who, due to a birth defect, doesn't have a functioning
uterus.
vajingus.
Okay.
Yeah, right. And I don't know why I felt
Her
it
uterus
necessary
works.
to say vajingus, but
Vagina.
that was the
It's
one
okay
I
to
went for.
say-
I literally don't like any descriptive word for that piece of anatomy.
Really?
I like that piece of anatomy, but there's not a single word that I'm comfortable with.
Oh, my Lord.
But JJ.
Nope.
Is it because they're too cute? or
Can't
is
find
it,
one.
are
I
they
don't know.
scary?
I just don't. I think,
don't have
I think
teeth.
there's not a word that can capture it. That would be my political answer.
Shaden's like, it's called a haunted devil's ditch. Move on.
So she didn't have a functioning
Haunted devil's ditch.
VJJ.
Okay.
But she was giving her boyfriend at the time oral sex.
Nice.
Right.
Okay.
And following this fellatio, the tale goes that she was stabbed in the abdomen because her most
So she
recent
swallows.
her most recent boyfriend. Yeah, she must have swallowed. Her most recent boyfriend came upon this scene somehow. Who knows how that? I mean, stranger things have happened, I guess.
Right. Walked in on him.
But she was stabbed in the abdomen, and all three of them were admitted to the hospital with a variety of knife wounds. She had just like a minor cut, but she had this stab wound in her abdomen, right? So they treated her there, turned her loose, and then 278 days later, she returned to the hospital where she gave birth via C-section to a healthy baby boy.
Dude.
Who is most likely Jesus, let's be honest.
Yeah. Is there a follow-up on the kid? Like,
so
is the kid
the thing, I know,
walking
right?
on
Like,
water,
like,
making
where
wine
is,
happen?
where is he?
Let's see this kid. Does
Fast-
he have a halo?
Fulfilling prophecies.
Fast forward, that's how we got Elon Musk.
So this happened in South Africa? Kind of cool. Who knew?
No, that part I made up, but it was funny. So it all sounds like a bad urban legend, but it's in medical literature apparently at this point.
Okay.
So I mean,
John Hopkins,
it's titled.
Is it the
oral,
Lancet in their bad moments, or is it in the good moments?
It's titled Oral Conception, Impregnation via the Proximal Gastrointestinal Tract in a Patient with an Aplastic Distal Vagina. It was published in the British Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology in September 1988. So this is a while back.
Okay.
That this
88
happened,
wasn't that long
apparently.
ago, asshole.
It was before me, asshole.
It's true.
Hey, it was not my fault your dad didn't have a gleam in his eye.
Dude,
for a couple
I would
years.
have had a great time in the 80s. I'm actually kind of sad I missed the 80s.
I took the 80s for granted because I was a little chitrin, but now I look back at them as times where it's like, man, you could have robbed banks easier. You could have fucking had. I mean, nobody knew shit about your life. Kids, the parents left you alone.
80s were great.
They were pretty good.
Yeah.
But I wish I was a little older to
The drugs
enjoy
were
the
good,
80s.
too.
Well, see, I wasn't doing drugs. I had Flintstones vitamins were the drugs I did in the 80s.
they
And
were
Pepsi
good.
Cola. They were
still
good.
good.
You're right. You're on the money there. All right. Well,
So what happened
Yeah, how does-
for anybody who hasn't figured it out?
It wasn't the blowjob.
She
That doesn't happen.
She swallowed when after giving the blowjob.
She must be lacking stomach acid.
The stab wound. I can't, or it happened at just the right time. I don't know, but the stab wound caused the trajectory of the knife caused this still live spooge to make the leap from her digestive tract to
Her uterus.
and an egg
So it was from
fertilized.
so it was from swallowing.
Yeah.
I thought for some reason, I don't know why, this was even weirder. I thought like
You're like, she spit it on the knife.
I swear to God, I was that.
He
I was
surprise
going that
came
far.
on the knife right
yeah,
before.
like somehow semen and blood were in the knife, and somehow it
And
got
just as he was
That's what I'm
mid-coitus, the knife comes in, pulls out of her mouth, hits the blade, shoves in.
exactly.
What a crazy random happenstance.
Well, it does still sound pretty crazy. So
it
but all
is
right.
extremely crazy. So
So still kind of like that. It had to do with the knife. It's just on the inside instead of the outside. I thought it happened on the outside. What happened was on the inside. I get it.
yeah,
angled the knife.
yeah.
They both sound
apparently
like triple
apparently
check.
she told the doctors that she had never had a period and couldn't believe that she was pregnant, even when she was becoming very clearly pregnant. And
How scary.
yeah, totally crazy. But the doctors concluded that her child, hard though it is to believe, was conceived through the oral sex, shortly followed by the knife fight.
Did she name him Jesus?
I fucking hope so.
I hope so too. And I want to know where this kid is and how he's doing, and if I can give him some money, be like, get on his good graces.
You're
Just
just
in
a
case.
Snickers.
Because you never know.
You never know. Hedge your bets, as Pascal
What a
would
crazy
say.
pickup line that kid has built in forever, though, right? Like,
Well, I was born of immaculate birth.
yeah, exactly.
I am literally a miracle baby. So if you'd like to move your genes along with a miracle baby, I'm your guy. I will sex you up. I want to sit. Sorry.
Down, boy. Stand down, Jackery.
This religion thing gets me pretty hot and bothered.
Yeah.
Well, that is all of the prepared materials that we have for this fine day. We do have a couple things to read, and you have a note that you wanted to do.
It's going to tie in with this email, actually.
Okay, perfect. So
So-
let's start that out.
And this is an email from Deja Arnold, who's one of our fine listeners.
Deja,
Who I have-
I love Deja.
Come to adore quite a bit.
Absolutely.
And actually, I made a mistake on the last show, so I I've already reached out to her.
You make mistakes? I don't make mistakes.
I made a mistake on last show, and I reached out to her,
mistake?
and I reached out to the correct person. I had said that Deja was the one who had met Nikki Sixx.
Incorrect.
It was actually PJ.
PJ.
Suniga, that's how you pronounce her last name.
Also
And,
a lovely human being.
Also awesome. But
I love our community. It's such a lovely
too,
group
man.
of people.
Yeah.
And these are ice wall. These are like fucking. They've been to.
these are
Antarctica.
hardcore folk, too. Yeah.
They had the gruel with the rest of us. You guys weren't allowed to go on. You were supposed to go on, but I kicked both of you off the boats.
I was like, oh damn.
No, you did. You were not. You were busy getting your appendix out.
So, yeah, I got called out, and I deserved it, and so I'm going to nationally correct myself.
Internationally, go for it.
So internationally, so
Globally even.
says, "Hey there, Bear. I was just finishing up the Jar podcast from Friday, and I heard you talking about our mutual love for Motley Crue, which is true. Favorite band ever." And she's like, "And oh my god, that is true." But I haven't met Nikki Sixx, sadly, and my head kind of dropped at that point. Like, oops. She says, I've met a lot of bands, Slipknot, shot the shit with Corey Taylor.
Corey Taylor.
Yeah.
My dude.
Corey Taylor doesn't like
Years
this.
later,
Doesn't have any
years later,
opinions.
I got a friend request from him once. I don't think it was really him though. When he was touring with Stone Sour, along with a bunch of other fans, he actually left a voicemail greeting me, which was super cool. So when people called, I didn't answer. They heard Corey.
What a great idea, man.
Yeah.
That's never occurred to me to do with any like cool music people that I've ever met. Like, hey,
well,
will you
apparently-
record my voicemail?
But
greeting?
apparently Sprint deleted it because they're cunts.
Well, they don't exist anymore, so they got their comeuppance.
She's got this list of fucking badass bands that I love all of them, and I'm a little bit jealous of her contact with some of these people. But Godsmack, Seven Dust, Stain, System of the Down, Hailstorm, and others local to Boston. Excuse me. Powerman 5000, H2O, who I don't know, Newfound Glory, the lead singer of Mudvayne, and Hell Yeah.
Powerman 5000, that's awesome.
And then
yeah.
she points out
Spider.
that getting old sucks. So I can't remember, and then she can't remember shit. There's been a lot of little opening bands too. Trapped, who I got to talk to the singer of Trapped as well.
Yeah.
He's a super cool guy.
Well, they've certainly gotten controversial over the last year. So.
We talked about that actually when I met him.
Did you?
Yeah, it all had to do with some 13-year-old girl wearing a shirt.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, and they somehow got tagged and all that. So yeah, I think the guitar player from Rob Zombie and Seether,
J5.
who's also a phenomenal band.
Seether, man.
are all
Boring to
my-
watch, but
these are all-
amazing to listen to.
How dare you?
I know, I think they're one of my favorite bands, and they sound great.
They do
live.
just stand up there and
They
they
just
are a
kind of
three-piece.
stand.
That's true. I saw them. They were on a show with Bullet for My Valentine, and
I think
it was really cool to listen to it live. But yeah, you're right.
You didn't have to watch them, but I'm not a big watch a band kind of guy anyway. I like to bullshit and listen to the music and
Fair.
try to yell in a conversation over them. I saw Tommy Lee play with Methods of Mayhem, which I'm extremely jealous of. Both of that. I'd love to have seen Methods of Mayhem, and I love Tommy Lee. And then Vince Neil's solo. Let's see, and thought that would be the only time we got to see anything close to Motley. And then in 2005, I think it was, they did a reunion tour, and we went to that. I went to that reunion tour as well. 3 hours of just Motley, which is phenomenal. Anyway, I read that, so I actually reached out to her and said, well, shit, I actually said the wrong name. It was actually PJ. But because I reached out to her, she got to share a lot of things with me, and we got chatting, and I've made a friend with Deja.
Heck
So
yeah.
it's really cool how here we are, we're bullshitting with each other. People want to listen to us, which amazes me. But I'm getting people brought into my life that
you like.
that contact me. And here's another thing too that I thought about. People used to contact me randomly all the time throughout my career, and it was always cop questions, and it was always, I fucked up, how can I get out of this, pretty much. Now people reach out to me, they just want to talk to me. It's not Jeff the cop, it's just Jeff. And I never thought that I got, even though I hold on to my career because it has value and I learned a lot.
30 years, bro.
People, I get to be Jeff who was a cop, so there's some value to it, but they reach out to me. So I think I'm building better relationships because of that.
Fucking
just
A.
leaving the job and doing this. So it's great. Thank you to everybody who
thank you
reaches out.
guys
And
so
I'm
much.
more than willing to talk to people. I love it. That's what life is about, is building relationships.
Heck
So
yeah.
if anybody wants to reach out to me, feel free. I'm good.
Just a ride pod@gmail.com.
Well-
and then it'll get to Jeff.
I'll tell you what, Jeff. I got one for you right here, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
I got an email from Paul Folks himself.
Yeah.
And
He makes me laugh.
it's mostly
He's rad.
Yeah.
Phantasmagoric Oddities Emporium.
Seems like a really genuine dude too.
Yes.
So as illustrated in this email, I'm going to read it to you because it's mostly to you, Jeff. He says, "Hey guys, I just want to say thank you so much for what you're doing. In all the years I've struggled with my own demons, you have probably been some of the best points to help me work through my own issues. Ultimately, this email is for Jeff. Thank you, dude. That book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, probably the best thing I've come across. I tore through that today, and it really made me reevaluate a lot of shit that I thought that I knew. I'm going to keep this brief because I don't want to get all mushy, but I just want to thank you, dude. Love you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Paul."
Dude, that's awesome. The fact that somebody listened to some advice and took it and actually got some value out of it is great. And Mark Manson's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's who wrote that book. And there's lots more where that came from. And if you found value in it, great. And that kind of shoots down what you said about any type of positive book.
Yeah, sure does.
Positive books,
High five. Fuck
positive
me, I
books
guess.
for the most part call you out on your bullshit. That's what I have found.
Yeah.
They call you out on your
Certainly.
bullshit and say, you know what? You're fucked up. Stop it.
Some of them are great. Some of them are valuable. And I saw a list online not that long ago. I think it was a Stoicism post or something. It's like all the books that I think men should read or something. It was like that, but probably everyone should read. And there was a lot of those that were the classic ones: Art of War, The Prince,
Marcus Aurelius.
yeah, Marcus Aurelius, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think Rich Dad Poor Dad. And there's another one that's another good one from that vein as well. But just so you can be responsible for yourself more, that
Yes.
kind of stuff. And I like those kind of books. When I think of self-help books, I was kind of like Shaiden, but I grew up with my mom who had 5 billion of them, and
She was a professional reader without action.
yeah. Well, she would do something. Yeah, no, you're right. She was a connoisseur of these books. Like, I mean, the library was extensive, and I read a bunch of them just because they were around. And she's like, "You have to read this one. You know, this is The Secret," or blah blah blah. I've read quite a few of them.
The Secret.
And they're not all equal. You know what I mean? Like everything, they're certainly not all equal. So it's good that you found one that's super
Well,
valuable for you. And
you just didn't manifest it properly.
that's fair. That's fair. There was one. I remember it was like. Do you remember Susan Powder?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the one that I remember. That was actually I don't know if it was valuable or not, but I just remember my mom being like all about it. Like she was damn near getting a haircut like her too.
I make fun of that woman so bad because I remember the infomercials being on there, and she's like, "This was me 5 years ago."
Right.
She didn't. I don't know why I'm using the grandma smoker voice, but it
Why
really
is she
fits in the way
Marge
that I
from
say.
Simpsons?
It's like, "This was me 5 years ago," and it's a picture of her about 350 pounds eating ice cream with fucking laundry everywhere. It was
Right.
just a mess. And my husband left me for the secretary, and I'm like, "Well, no shit." But she took her anger
and turned it into
something positive, which is really what you need to do in life. She ended up winning. She
Right.
took the hate for her husband and she moved mountains in her life. So I'm okay with that. It's like she didn't take any responsibility for what happened in the relationship
right.
up front, but she really did, and she
could have
fixed
been a
herself
dick.
and made her say,
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not an asshole. He might be.
Right.
But she might have had some responsibility in what happened. You know,
Yeah,
just saying
for
that.
sure.
Nevertheless, she changed her life and she built an empire. So good for her.
Yeah, fucking
hate
A.
can move mountains. Just understand that.
Yeah,
not the most-
love and hate are only separated by a few feet.
True. It's like the Jim Carrey thing with the bite in the tongue. The thing's
Yeah.
just right there, just
Yep.
one moment
Yeah,
away from
just
love and hate.
one little.
Best friend, enemy for life. All right, you guys.
Cool. Can we let's shout out some Patreons? We got some new ones.
Oh yeah.
Let's rattle them off because I'm just so blown away that you're not even getting anything yet, but you will.
You will. Yes, we're working on it for sure.
We're actively working on it. But yeah, I just want to shout you guys out. It's of course Nicole Taikab Apodaca.
Yep.
We got Lynn Hoagland. We
Yep.
got Deja Arnold. Yo, thanks for the email. Anthony Harrington.
Boom.
Hunter Bilbro. I still didn't fuck it up and say Bilbo. We'll see how long that lasts. Ashley McIntyre.
Yay.
Donald Fisher.
Yay.
Hell yeah. Michelle Betts.
Michelle.
Kelly Geiger.
Kelly guy. I'm just gonna make noises after.
So, shut up, Zach. Soul Trouble.
Nimrod is pleased.
Anunnaki Warlord David, which is
Nimrod
the
is
David.
pleased.
It is the David that we thought it was.
It is?
By
Oh,
the
yeah.
way, yeah. He sent me a message and he said to make fun of you because he did it in the other Patreon too. It was like he was like, Zach should have known.
I should have known. Oh my goodness.
So that's on you. Thanks, David. Love you, dude.
Forgive me, my friend.
Ryan Shelton, Jess Johnson. One Red Dragon Skull 1. I'm gonna mess that one up sometime. Watch. James O'Brien.
Well, welcome,
And,
Flanary.
We got two new ones from this week. We got James Cornelson. Corn. It's just cone.
Corn.
James Cornelson. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Hoj. Yeah. Hoj Montez.
Well, that's a good man.
He is.
Thank you, Hoj.
Thank you guys.
Seriously. So many wonderful folk that are involved in this here project. Who knows where it's going to go? It's a snowball rolling down a big old 90-degree hill.
No stopping it now.
Fucking A, can't put it back in the box.
We just officially crested the first rise on the ride, and we're just clicking right over down the first drop. Yeah,
the seatbelts have to remain on. There's no getting the guy to stop the thing. It's just going.
I'm putting my hands up though. Watch me.
Do it. That's the essence of it all.
Yes.
Thank you to the SKATCAST Trusted Turd Triad of Don Fisher, the Shitbox Wizard, Chris Brooks, the Dookie Slayer, the Discord Dookie Slayer.
Yeah. It's my turn to make noises.
Make those noises. And then, of course, we have Bodhi Sunyata, our quartermaster here at the SKATCAST, and he does script writing and stuff like that. Thank you to the Godhead for all of the... what do you say? I would say they do internet tomfuckery.
Yeah.
But good, but in the most positive fucking way.
The best flavor of tomfuckery you ever did. Fuck.
Also, the garbage disposal. Alan, we love you, buddy. We appreciate you and all the positive stuff that you put out in the world.
Shit, yeah.
Info@skatcast.com is how to get hold of me and all of the Skatcast stuff, but justaridepod@gmail.com is how you get a hold of the three of us.
It's just a ride pod.
It's just a ride pod.
One more thing. The random turdiness is fun to follow. I jumped on there real quick, promising to give some sledding, crashing videos, but we went fishing instead. So
what
I didn't mean to
What is the random turdiness, Jeff?
It's a messenger thread, basically, where people just chat.
Cool.
That's right.
It's for when you're feeling sick of Discord and you just want something different.
I think
in a nutshell,
something that hits a little different.
There's a lot of... if you are a person that wants to get involved in community, the Skatcast community is lovely. But if you just want to, not, that's also fine too.
If you just
want to stick
lurk,
apart,
feel free to lurk, you little wallflowers.
That's great. But you can lurk on patreon.com, and I don't know the actual, but Just a Ride Pod probably, or something along those.
I think it is patreon.com/justaridepod.
Okay. Find us there, and we appreciate all of you guys that have signed up, and we'll make it worth your while, I hope, at some point. After Christmas, we'll probably get together and do some
shit. I'm not going to jerk you around. We're probably going to be doing the first of the year is when stuff's going to start coming out.
Yeah,
because life gets busy right now.
Bonus videos of me and Jeff doing burpees for 75 hard.
Oh yeah. We should sing some Christmas songs or something too. But we'll figure out something.
Yeah.
And we got a Christmas episode coming up, right?
I fully plan on doing a lot of recording for the 75 hard, just to I don't know, hopefully motivate people.
Yeah.
And hold myself accountable. Last time I did it, I was off Facebook the whole time. This time I'm like, nah, I want to play with it and since we're trying to get a lot of people, I want to show I'm doing what I'm asking you, because I would never ask another person to do something I'm not willing to do myself.
Right.
So I'm going to show that I'm doing it.
Here.
Sames.
Eat the Tide Pods.
That's
what? I do it.
Eat the bugs. I'd rather eat the bugs than the Tide Pods.
See, my generation was Huff and Pam. That didn't work out.
That was a
good.
thing,
Yeah.
and we were into the Cool Whip. We were huffing Cool Whip.
Yeah,
Did you guys? Can you remember when you could go to the little head shops and buy that Rush? It was some sort of chemical, and you would sniff it. The idea was that you were supposed to...
That was the Whippets, right?
No, it's not Whippets. You would say it was a chemical in a little brown jar that you would smell. It's like sniffing glue, basically.
Oh, Christ.
But it was legal at one point.
I used to go get the... Like, instead of doing the poor man's Whippets with the ready whip whipped cream, I would go and actually buy the confection cartridges of nitrous, and then just like crack it into a balloon.
Oh wow!
It was like, whoa!
Just throw it into your sex life. It'll add an enhancement.
I've never done. Is that what the fun of it is? Sexual intercourse.
I'm not endorsing this, but I could feel sound when I did it. It's really bad for your brain, so
it's not good.
I don't endorse it, but now you have that information.
All you hear is
I noticed.
I'm like, I'm not sure why I did that, but it was kind of cool.
I noticed the girls that were doing it that I knew when I came across it were with some dudes that were trying to take advantage of him. That's what I noticed.
Well,
I was like, so that's my only
it only
experience
lasts
with it.
for
was
about
like,
20 to 30 seconds. So I mean, I don't think you really be in danger.
no,
Like,
I don't mean
do it
that.
when
I mean,
you're
they were just
driving,
skeezy
but-
dudes. I guess it was just that. I was like, oh, like, it was just a weird.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely not a thinking man's hobby.
Okay, fair enough. I don't mean to judge y'all. This life is hard. If you want to fucking, pretend that you're a BB gun and huff that shit, go for it. Because it's the BB gun shit, right? The CO2 cards.
It's just
I was like, who's shooting BB guns in here? And they're like, oh, we're going to shoot a porn later. Get the fuck out. I'm like, oh, this is a skeezy place. I got to go.
I can remember.
Welcome to Zach's Brain, everybody.
I got to go
They've been in it.
to a graduation party for dentists. Those guys know how to party.
Okay.
They also have a lot of
Bet they
nitrous.
do.
I bet they
fucking
do.
amazing.
And probably an easier way to get it than,
I just
how
imagine they're
the kids
all
are doing.
wearing like necklaces of extracted teeth. There's probably my wisdom teeth that I demanded that I get back that they wouldn't give to me. They're just he's wearing it on a fucking choker.
It's some currency in some other high level elite fucking world.
I'm not saying
they
nitrous.
trade teeth in
The
fucking
tooth fairy's real. She's just
Epstein Island.
incorporated now.
No shit.
I'm not saying nitrous is bad for you, but I believe that dentistry is the #1 suicide profession.
Really?
I heard that somewhere. It sounded reasonable. To
Double
die.
check, triple check, everyone. But
Yeah, someone check my shit.
Crazy. Why?
Wonder why.
I don't know.
Because you have to smell that breath
Probably
all the
a lot
time.
of drugs.
Because when you stare into the void stares back.
And it looks like a fucking
And it looks like
it looks like a
Ooga
dad.
root problem. You got a problem with your root. You got a socket where your tooth is. All right, fucking A.
We gotta wrap this shit up.
We are at the very, very end. I think we were saying thank you to everyone, and everyone is thanked.
Yep.
Thank you to Mrs. Scriptkeeper for putting up with me all this time. I appreciate the hell out of her and for letting us use the MRB studios for us to record.
Yeah.
Next week, I don't think it's going to be that way.
Yeah, next week I think we're gonna be at my humble abode.
We're going to go to the
We're gonna be at the
Shaiden
nest.
Hutchman Estates.
And we may
we're
have a guest.
We're gonna try to have a guest.
We're going to do our best to make sure that we have a guest next
Mm-hmm.
week. And he's a musician in this area that we both respect and like, or the three of us all like.
So you all be nice to him.
But
Make
Shaiden
sure
and
to
I-
make extra fun of him online.
Shade and I, we often want to have him play with us when Sovereign's doing stuff.
Yeah.
So
He's
it'll be
good
fun.
shit.
Yep.
He's a thinking man. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun. It'll be fun if we can get him on. I got to check his schedule, but I think we can make it work.
We're going to try.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. So as always, we'll talk at you in the future.
It'll seem like the present.
Bye, bitches.
Bye.
See ya.
It's just a ride. Whoa, oh, it's just a ride.
Bing.
Bong.
Ew.